What's up and welcome back to KindaFunny's Fast and Furious in Review. I am so happy that somehow, some way, we went from MCU in review and we made it all the way to the Fast and Furious, and now we're doing rewatches of the Fast and Furious. I've won, everybody. This was my plan all along. Step one, create a company. Step two, get everyone together, create a family. Yeah. Step three, watch Fast and Furious movies on repeat and talk about them year after year. It's a good life. It's a good life, everyone. So long we've been doing this that the people in the intro are no longer even the people on the show. Kevin Coelho has retired from the main contributions to this, and this now marks the retirement of one, Greg Miller, who has tapped out of Fast. He's like, Tim, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to watch Fast 10. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to be friends with someone like you. Yeah. So we're done. You can go play Zelda. You can go do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. So
freak out.
I'm Tim Geddes, of course. And for the first time, I think, on this show, joined by It's Christmas in May, Joey Noel.
It feels good to be at this table, surrounded by everybody that matters.
You're familia, some would say.
Thank you. The most important thing in life is people in this room.
Right here. Right now. Exactly. So Joey, you are now welcomed into the family. You now get invited to the barbecues.
We're the Coronas.
It's going to be great. Maybe for Fast 10. This is just the rewatch. This is just the rewatch. Yeah. Of course, we're also joined by Andy Cortez.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone because I'm just trying to get a specific clip and hopefully play it soon.
No, it's exciting. It's exciting stuff, everybody. And then rounding out our group today, he has a lot to live up to in this one. It's Nick Scarpino.
Tim, thank you for having me back. I'm excited to talk about Fast 5.
The reckoning's here.
The reckoning is here.
The reckoning is upon us.
It's been a while since I last reviewed Fast 5. Approximately, how many years? Was it 12? Something like that?
Something
like that.
12 years.
15, 17 years, doesn't matter. And I'm excited to see if my opinion on this movie has changed, or if it has lightened, or if it has gotten heavier.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But I want...
Heavier.
Heavier. It's a word to use. Now, what I love about this, and when I say love, I actually mean hate, like most things when I'm talking about Nick Scarpino, when I say love, I love the fact that me and Nick first really became friends for a couple specific things, but Fast 5 was one of them. Like, you were at IGN and you're just like, yo, the Fast and Furious is actually a great franchise. Fast 5 is one of the best action movies of all time. And I perked
just like always, Nick is always the tastemaker here.
Exactly. And as a lowly intern back at IGN, my ears perked up and I was like, Fast and Furious. Wait a minute. There's someone else here that's rocking for the greatest goddamn franchise of all time. And it was Nick Scarpino. So did I feel betrayed when we did in review and we got all the way to 5 and then Nick was just like, whatever you did, I don't even want to like.
I don't know how to describe it.
What happened was this: we watching the movies back to back, coming off of 4. I didn't realize that 4 actually has a lot of merits, and so I was trying to argue the merits of 4 against the merits of 5. But I was using kind of film dork logic and applying that to a series that has absolutely no business having film dork logic applied to it. And then I started doubling down. And that's where you start getting the bad energy coming into the room and all that jazz. So I'm excited to talk about Fast 5 in a more positive light today.
We came here for a big party, and then Nick walked in and he was like, can everybody take their shoes off? And also don't use the refrigerator because of this and that.
And I know there's a bathroom on the first floor, but I'm going to need you to go up to the 4th floor.
And all the drinks are off limits in the fridge. Those aren't mine. It's like, well, what the fuck? What? I was expecting a good time here.
Yeah.
And now we're partying.
Now we're back. You know what?
We don't know
put
yet.
It this way, now the house is older, so you can put your drink wherever you want without a coaster.
Okay, great. I love that. I love that.
It's exciting times. We're leading into Fast 10, the first Fast and Furious movie in a while. We got Fast 9 a couple years back. We didn't love that movie, and we're gonna do a rewatch of that because we haven't rewatched that one yet. But after seeing all the trailers for Fast 10, it was like, you know what? This seems like more of a sequel to Fast 5 than anything. We might need a little refresher and to give Nick an opportunity to maybe right his wrongs or to commit
Or double
and
down.
realize that he was right all along.
Yeah,
I'm not really
absolutely.
sure exactly where we're going to land on all that, but I do know that this is Kind of Funny's In Review, where each and every week we get together to rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. Whether you love or hate a franchise, chances are we have reviewed it. So check it out on youtube.com/kindoffunny or roosterteeth.com as a video. But if podcasts are more your thing, check out your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny In Review. We will be right there for you. This summer is about to pop off like no summer ever has when it comes to movies. We're going to be revisiting some of our most popular in-review franchises with DCEU, Spider-Verse coming up soon. Indiana Jones is popping back. Guess what? Blessing Adeoye Jr. is on that in review. Did you remember that? Because I didn't.
Wow, that was middle of the pandemic.
We got Transformers.
Tim, that was
coming
either
back.
7 months ago or 3 years ago. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know when we did Indiana Jones.
We did Indiana Jones because they announced the video game.
Oh shit!
And we haven't heard about that game since. So here we are now. Anyway, subscribe to everything. Give us the 5-star ratings because we're about to crush it this summer. It's going to be a lot of fun. Rewatching all the hype, getting into the new ones. Oh, Mission Impossible, Andy.
Oh my
We're going to
gosh.
return to that pretty soon as well.
Absolutely. Also, Barrett, I was looking for you, but you were going potty, and then I went potty, and I forgot to tell you that the rankings are in assets right now. In case you want to prep the rankings.
Oh, yeah, there they are.
Oh, there they are.
Rankings
Perfect.
right in
Perfect.
front.
Thank you.
And yeah, that's actually kind of perfect. Actually, real quick, I want to let you know you can get the show ad-free, and you can watch live as we record it by going to patreon.com/kindoffunny, just like our Patreon producers, Nathan Lamoth, James Hastings, and Casey Andrew have done. Today, we're brought to you by Shady Rays, but I will tell you about that later because we don't have time to dilly. We don't have time to dally. We have to talk once again about Fast 5, which is the 5th entry in the Fast and Furious franchise, the Saga, the Fast Saga, they're calling it now, as we approach the 10th entry, Fast 10. But it's actually the 11th entry because of Hobbs and Shaw. Debatably the 12th entry, if you count Better Luck Tomorrow, which is a spin-off if you even want to like pretend that it is, right?
I was very confused with the rankings when I was trying to type them out. I was like, what is wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
Tim just said this is ranked this, but there's not enough. What's happening with the numbers here? I was like, oh, Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Roman Reigns.
It'll always get
Roman
you.
Reigns.
It'll always get you.
Did you rank Los Bandoleros or no?
No, we didn't do any of that.
There's Los Bandoleros, there's Too Fast and Furious, Turbocharged, Prelude. Of course, there's a lot of supplemental. There's Fast and
Quantum
Furious
of Solace.
Crossroads,
Quantum of
the video
Solace.
game that is
Yeah.
canon. It is canon. There's a lot of
Butcher
stuff.
Bay.
But Fast 10 was announced
Dead Man's Curse.
to be the end of the saga. This is the end of the family. And then they said Fast 10 is going to be a 2-parter. Fast 10 and then Fast 10.
Uh-oh.
We have breaking news, everybody! Breaking news! Vin Diesel today announced in Rome at the premiere of Fast 10
A la Roma.
that Fast 10 will not be a 2-parter, Andy. Fast 10 will be a trilogy of films to end the Fast and Furious saga, everyone.
Of course.
Breaking news.
It's a trilogy. Now, Tim, let me ask
They're
you
like,
a question.
Vin, both movies are done, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Vin's like, we're going to make a third one. Do you think that when they started filming this movie, real talk, I'm about to have a seizure.
Yeah. Thank you, Barrett. Thank you.
Great
Do
job,
you
Vic.
think that when they finished this movie, I want to say finished this movie, they still planned for 2 movies? Or do you think the trilogy was happening the entire time?
Oh, no. I don't
Okay,
think. No.
good.
No.
Nick.
I know. I follow Vin Diesel on Instagram.
Yes.
I understand.
And if you
I
don't,
understand
please
where
do.
he's at.
But I just want to let you know that, like, we'll talk about this more next week when we do Fast 10. But Fast 10 was the movie that Justin Lin, the director of Fast 5, was directing for about a week before he's like, I'm done. I'm walking away.
Yeah,
I don't
need
care.
this.
And Vin Diesel did
this
that.
isn't worth it.
Did
This
that
is-
set video that looked like Justin Lin was like being held hostage.
Yeah.
It was real bad.
So I don't think that there was a third planned. I think, if I'm being completely honest with you, to this moment, I don't think a third's planned. I think that he was just on the red carpet in Rome and was feeling Vin Diesel-y.
Just threw it out there.
You
he
know?
did say that the studio saw this and was like, we can't limit it to 2. Can we make it 3? But like, who knows what reality Vin Diesel is living in currently?
Follow-up question.
Yeah.
Do you, Andy, this question goes out
Let
to
me
you,
hear.
Andy from KindaFunny.
Got you, brother.
Do you think that the motivation behind the studio was because the storytelling in 1 and 2, part 1 and part 2, was so good, but it left a little to be desired that they felt they could actually flesh out all these characters' final arcs in the third movie?
No.
Or do you think they want fucking cold hard cash?
I think it was so compelling and captivating, Nick, that they decided we can't have both of these movies be 4 hours and 10 minutes because that's as low as we can cut it without cutting any of the good stuff.
Follow-up question.
Go ahead.
Do you think that this new trilogy to end this series of 13, going on 14, potentially 15, maybe 17 movies, I don't know. Do you think it's going to rival and or best the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
It's already there. It's knocking on the door.
Yeah.
It's knocking on the door.
Yeah, it's a great time. Now, I will say, Joey, you were talking about like that you broke this news to me.
Yes, because I was watching the premiere live this morning.
And
because I have a problem.
And I was like, okay, maybe he means that Fast 9 is part of this trilogy, where it goes Fast 9 and then 10 and then 10 2. I'm like, oh yeah, he's kind of talked
Trying
that
to
way.
decipher.
I guess that makes sense. And then I watched the clip and I'm like, oh no.
He just
He's
wants
saying a
trilogy.
Fast 10 trilogy. And Joey's first response to that is, do you think that by the time we get to Fast 10 3, I'm hoping this one's Fast X, and then we get Fast X 2, and then we get Fast XXX, right?
Yeah,
it just
X.
makes sense.
Oh,
But Joey,
wow.
what do
Ice
you
Cube.
what
then
is,
I was
what is
like,
your
my pitch was like, we
Ice
get
Cube
to
Triple
Fast
X.
Triple X.
Yeah.
It is a crossover, and we get 2 Vin Diesels.
two Vin
in the
Diesels?
last
Like
movie.
Double Impact, where it's like, oh my
We
God,
get-
you've been my brother the
We
entire
get
time?
Dominic Toretto, and we get whatever the Triple X Vin Diesel is that I've never actually
Xander
watched.
Cage.
Xander
I
Cage.
love that idea, but I'll go you one further.
Oh.
Remember, Triple X State of the Union did not feature Vin Diesel for whatever fucking reason. They didn't bring him back, and then they brought him back in the return of Xander Cage or whatever. Do we think we get Ice Cube in one of these movies?
Yeah.
'Cause
I feel
fuck,
like-
that would be
It's a
incredible.
cold town. Chris Hank in the YouTube chat watching right now because Chris Hank is a Patreon subscriber and says Vin saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and thought that 3 sounded good. That's what I love to imagine of Vin being like, oh, we can make a third one.
That's exactly what happened. It had to happen.
They're like, you've made.
There's never been a
10
trilogy before.
There's never been a trilogy of the 10th movie before.
Honestly, I know we've been long in the tooth on this one, but if I were Vin's friend, I'd pull him aside and be like, yo, you got to stop making these movies and start making more fucking Riddick films. Because that's really the franchise that you need for the rest of your life. And
No.
so I stand
No,
by
no,
it.
no.
I fucking stand by it.
You stand alone, Nick. I love Riddick. I love
Riddick's the
But
shit.
I love the Fast and Furious, and I love Fast 5. Of course, this was released on April 29th, 2011 in the United States. Made its premiere on April 15th, 2011 in Rio de Janeiro. The only place it could possibly happen.
Brazil!
Brazil, everybody. It had a runtime of 130 minutes, a budget of 125 million, box office of 626.1 million, which
Less
at
than I
the
would
time was a lot of money, but pretty quaint for the Fast Furious as it would continue to go on to crossing billions almost every time.
But it's funny to watch this, obviously, for a lot of different nostalgic reasons. But it's so quaint that they're like, the most influential man in Brazil, the guy that runs this whole country, has $100 million. And by 2023 standards, like, that's it? Like, this guy should be a multi-billionaire if that's the kind of heat he's bringing.
Yeah. This was directed by Justin Lin, who had also directed Tokyo Drift and then Fast and Furious 4, the kind of like a reboot, essentially. Fast 5 and then Fast 6, and then took a little bit of a break, didn't do 7 or 8, didn't do Hobbs and Shaw, but he did do 9.
James Wan do seven?
James Wan was 8.
8. Who did 7?
Sorry. James Wan was 7. And F. Gary Gray.
Oh,
was
that's
8,
right.
The guy that did Straight Outta Compton. So yeah, and then we got Justin was supposed to be back for 10, but then left a week in, and it sounds like the Mario Kart. Do.
Oh.
Can you nail it?
Damn!
Whoa! It's an octave!
Furious, everybody!
It's an octave!
But now it's being directed, I think, by the guy that did Thor 1. So maybe?
No.
No?
Kenneth
No,
Branagh?
it's Kenneth Branagh. Maybe Thor Dark World. I don't know. Maybe Incredible
Probably
Hulk.
Dark
That's
World.
what it is. He directed the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, wow. We're in for a shit show, huh?
Yeah. We'll see what happens
Andy,
there.
it's the 10th movie in the
Worse than
Fast and
Thor.
Furious franchise. It's
I
gonna
This
be
will
is going to be
say-
the one that ruins
I
it.
will say though, directors of Fast and Furious almost feel inconsequential at this point because the movies I just named from Justin Lin, I feel like there's no consistency there.
No.
3,
Between-
4, 5.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. 6,
I mean,
9.
what matters the most...
4-2?
What
He did.
we come away with after we watch these movies in theaters are the gigantic set pieces. Can you nail those? Like,
right.
if you give me 3 of those, and maybe the rest of it is total shit, I'll be like, those 3 set pieces were fucking insane, bro. And I'll be like, and the acting was real bad. And then Tyrese, what is he doing? Oh my God, like what's happening here? You know, like I hope that they're at least able to nail several in this next movie.
Yeah.
Because I don't, plot wise, Charlize Theron got a haircut though.
She did. She did. Is it a wig?
Is that
Charlize
Charlize Theron though, or is it Letty in her head?
We don't fucking know. I can't wait for next week. Anyway,
don't know.
we're talking a lot about this, and I love it because I love talking about this franchise, but we got to get into it. It is Fast 5. What are our thoughts now going back into it? Nick, regrettably, I'm going to start
with me.
I'm going to start with you.
Did we learn nothing from the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 review? This movie's great. It's very, very... Oh, wait, they're talking.
No, keep going.
Okay. Joe, I guess I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Fast 5 is a very nostalgic movie for me. Going back and watching it was a delight. This movie really is the turning point for the series where we start realizing, hey, the opportunities here are, let's put a bunch of fun characters together, have a team, and then just have, like Andy was talking about, massive action set pieces. You could ask me, I could probably name, or Andy could name 10 great action movies, and I would have to grapple to remember, like, what was the big thing that happened to that? What's the big set piece? And in this one, no doubt, it's seared into your brain. The ridiculousness of the third act of this movie as they're dragging the safe like a big ball sack behind him, wrecking havoc everywhere, and just being super creative with it. And to Justin Long's like credit, he just Lin, excuse me, not Long. I mean, Justin Long's great also. Shout out to him. Shout out to him. He just
Hopefully
got
he's in the next one. Yeah.
That'd be incredible. But to Justin Lin's credit, the action set pieces in this are really, really fun, and he directs car action better than probably anyone on the planet. So it is a delight to watch this movie. It got me hyped to go into Fast 10. And what can I say? Vin Diesel, I don't think he's gotten any better over the years, but he certainly hasn't gotten worse.
He's gotten more.
He's gotten more. Is a great way of saying it. More everything.
More Vin.
Joey Noel.
I love this movie. This is my favorite Fast and Furious movie, which I know is contentious at this table. There's a lot of debate.
This table alone, I would say, though. I feel like this is most people's favorite movie.
That's fair.
Is it this table alone?
I can give you my opinion on that too, if you'd like.
What is it?
I still think 6 is better.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah. It was really, I haven't rewatched this, I guess, in a long time. Like, I guess I would have rewatched it leading up to 9 probably, but that is so long ago. It made me a little bit sad though, rewatching it, because there is a magic and a chemistry that is missing without Paul Walker that I feel like maybe that's why I haven't revisited some of these like classic, because 5, 6, and 7 is just the golden trilogy, one of the trilogies within the Saga that has multiple trilogies, I guess. Now,
it's really like the comeback.
Yeah.
For me, I always equate it to Mission Impossible 4, 5, and 6. Like, of course, I love 3 of Philip Seymour Hoffman, of course, but I feel like the 4, 5, and 6 is like this sort of revival of the franchise.
Stride, really.
Yeah. But I feel like what we're missing in like modern Fast and Furious movies is the dynamic between Dom and Paul Walker in terms of like, Dom doesn't really have an equal in these other ones. He's obviously the head of the family and stuff like that. But there's like a grounding to Paul Walker's character that balances Vin out.
There's so many moments in this where the camera just cuts to Paul Walker, and I'm like, was that an outtake? Why is he laughing? Why is he giggling during this incredibly
Ludacris just literally like asked how he fucked the future mother of his child.
Yeah.
And he just goes,
No, there's
like a balance to the Vin Diesel energy that we are missing. And I feel like it's just, it's very evident to me in this one.
I'll agree too. And I think, obviously the core of the series was that. And if they had their druthers, I'm sure they would much rather Paul Walker be both alive and in the series as well. But it is, to me, it really like, look, this is going to sound like a harsh criticism. Everyone, chillax. I love this movie. Before you get out your fingers and start typing into the comments of this.
Start typing, y'all.
The movie's great, but we can all agree that Vin Diesel and Paul Walker are not the best actors on the planet. We can say
I'd say Vin is a better actor than Paul Walker.
I would say they're both together make a passable actor, which is why the chemistry together on screen was so great. And the dialogue doesn't help, where he's like... Because for like the first 10 minutes of this movie where they see
here we
each
go
other,
again, Andy. Here we go.
I'm just saying this.
Here we go. Is this really what we're doing?
The first 10 minutes of this movie, this is a compliment.
I can't believe Greg got kicked off and not.
I know, exactly.
This is a compliment. okay? The writers of the movie, they talk in car talk for the first 10 minutes of this movie, and it's so bad. Even good actors couldn't sell this, but the fact that they're saying it, there's a charm to it,
it's
right?
what it is.
It's a charm to this bromance that these two guys have. This movie's completely ridiculous and over the top, but you just turn that part of your brain off that I had on the first time we did this. You just turn it off and just fall in love with these guys. So to Joey's point, yeah, he's always been sorely missed, Paul Walker.
Andy, what about you?
I'm so glad upon watching it again that I still love this movie. I wondered was that just a phase? Was that just a little fling, a little summer fling with a little hottie with a body? Watching, we have sexy Han and Gal Gadot, and everybody's just looking super sexy, and it's super action packed, and it's funny in moments. And no, I fucking love this movie still, and I just finished rewatching it actually because I watched the first half last night, and. Yeah, I've seen this movie about 4 or 5 times now, maybe. And I'm sitting there in the lab, and Nick's sitting next to me playing Jedi Survivor. And I'm sitting there with my headphones on watching Fast 5. And I'm still in the final sequence going oh my God, Jesus Christ. This safe escape sequence is still so well choreographed. And again, like Nick was mentioning, they get so creative with a lot of what they can do with it. And it becoming a chain that then destroys shit, but then it's destroying all the other cars. It's just so freaking fun to watch. The get the team together moment is amazing. I will, for the rest of my life, reference Vin Diesel picking up the rock off the ground. That's the coolest fucking hype moment. Oh my God. I'm just in my, hell yeah. It just rules. This movie fucking kicks ass. But yeah, to Nick's point, Again, I don't want to speak ill of the dead. We love you, Paul Walker. We miss you out there. But there's just a lot of I wish there was more dynamism in the line delivery because a lot of it just ends up being flat whenever words don't get higher or lower with your line delivery. And here I am, and I'm talking like this, and nah, man, that's not going to work that way. And it just sounds like the moments that I feel like he was acting the best really kind of surprised me near the end when he's in these car chases. Because usually you hear actors talk about
Yes, I have that note here. There's moments at the end where Paul goes, oh shit.
Yeah.
And it's a legit, I don't know if someone grabbed his foot or something to get an actual honest fucking reaction.
Yeah, you always hear
happens.
actors talk about the hardest thing to do in acting is react to something that isn't
That's
there,
not
right?
there, yeah.
But in this movie, when he's in this car sequence, there's a lot of what the holy shit. He's really, really good in these action sequences near the end. I fucking love this movie. This movie kicks ass. I think when you were mentioning, Joey, which is the most favorite amongst the desk here, I feel like my favorite is always the last one I just watched. But yeah, I'd put this one definitely way up there. I don't remember what I voted for it when we originally did this, but yeah, this movie kicks ass. Tim, where are you at?
You guys are disrespectful cretins. I just want to let you know.
Damn.
Vin Diesel is a thespian, okay? Are you fucking kidding me? And Paul, goddamn
Fellini-esque.
Walker. Yeah, that's what it is. No, real talk. You're so right, obviously, but that's not what these movies are. It's not about acting. It's about the characters, and I think that they embody these characters so well, where I just believe in them. And do the characters have consistency? No. Ludacris goes from watching jet skis race to being the tech guy.
Tim, you didn't know about his past, though. He had a different past. You don't know about
didn't know about their past. You know about their past.
The weird thing is, we did know about Paul Walker's past. You know what I mean? But it's I don't care about that stuff because Justin Lin had such an accomplishment with this film. I think that I've said this a million times, but to me, Fast 5, it's the best Fast and Furious. I think it's kind of boring though. I don't give a fuck about best. My favorite, it's 6, baby. What's the most Fast and Furious? It's 7. This trilogy of Fast 6, 7, like Joey was saying, come on, man. Everything leading up to this was so worth it. In my rewatches of 8, I've learned to appreciate that movie. It is definitely not in the same league, but I don't think it's as bad as people kind of
I agree.
say it is. But 9, I've only watched it the one full time, so I'm hoping to rewatch it this weekend going in. That one I'm a little bit more it had cool moments, but I'm not sure if it was great. Fast 5, the reason it's the best and the reason that I don't think it'll ever be beat is there's a magic to it that it was the first time.
The original Avengers movie.
It was yeah, exactly. Year before Avengers. It got everyone together, the most unlikely group of people. And no joke. You talking about Avengers there, it's That was a bunch of different movie franchises that we knew were building to something. I mean, now we can say that. Back then,
We didn't know.
when Iron Man happened, I didn't believe we were ever actually going to see an Avengers. Here we are. It happened and it worked. But to combine different movies into one movie and have those characters from different worlds work, and it worked that well, was so impressive. This is the exact same thing because although it's the same franchise, it's really not. And like the timeline and everything, it's dumb as hell. And like, did they do a great job with it? I would argue yes, but like only with what they had to work with. Like we're talking about different timelines. We're talking about different areas of America, of the world. And like somehow they made it make sense that Roman and Tej and Han and Paul Walker and Vin Diesel and Mia are all here together and we believe in it. And Gal Gadot is there and it's just all fucking magical and special. But what makes Fast 5 special amongst all the others is how grounded it is. It is as far as you can get into the over the top without crossing the line of like, oh, he landed on a car, so he's safe. Or, oh, he jumped the building to building. Or, oh, the longest airport freaking runway in all time. This movie, every set piece, every single thing, the like craziest stuff is like, all right, they jump off the car off a 100-foot drop into the water. That would have probably hurt them more.
Me and Paul also jumped into a fucking building with
Oh yeah, in the favelas.
like metal roofs and they landed.
But that's the thing though, is like that jump, like that could have worked. It's not likely, but it could have been okay.
Yeah. It's not like they landed in spikes.
She's pregnant, but you know, it's not like she like was the Rock in Furious 7 getting like grenade exploded out of a multi-story building and landing on a car and kind of being okay.
That does happen in this too.
Which one? Where?
RPG lands right in front of him and it just knocks him back 5 feet.
Well, okay. All right.
Super strong.
But I hear what you're saying. Like what you're saying is this is grounded in the world of normal action movie.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It is at the far side of it.
Yeah, the
but
farthest.
That we have not dipped in yet to Avengers territory where it's like, okay, we have to explain why Vin Diesel could just fucking use cars as mattresses.
Catches Letty in midair.
Right. Yeah.
And that's obviously stuff that they ramped up to. But yeah, to your point, like that is one of the reasons why I like this, is because it is sort of like it does feel somewhat believable. You do have to turn your brain off a little bit for the vault sequence, but it's fun, so it doesn't matter.
But my thing is like it's a movie, so I'm not saying when I say grounded, I'm talking about grounded.
But there are rules,
yes,
right? There are limitations to what people in these characters can do, and I can't say the same for by the time we get to like Fast 9, where people are just like fucking fall out of the sky. Like, is there something that's not concrete? Cool, I'm safe.
Yeah,
they went to space,
and I enjoy the fuck out of those things, right? Like I love that.
Same here.
But I love that this was the end of the we're trying to be grounded. They didn't always succeed, but they were trying. They stopped that going forward, and they create new rules. And I appreciate the new rules, and I love that. But Fast 5 just fucking works, man. Like, it is such an enjoyable watch. Like, it is such a good movie. And like, if someone were like, hey, I've never seen a Fast and Furious before, which one should I watch? I think that this is probably the right
one, right?
Yeah.
You know? And like Fast 1's also amazing and standalone, and like it's just such a great thing. But like Fast 5 is absolutely special. Last thing I want to say though, Vince's kid Nico is a loose thread. Just putting it out there.
He's gonna try to come kill Dom, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that kid to come back from the beginning of Kill Bill Volume 1.
It's a deep cut.
One day
They're
we'll
gonna
do it. Tarantino.
The kid's probably almost 18 at this point, right?
It's
throwing it
real
out
time. We're gonna get into the plot, but before we do that, let me tell you a word from our sponsors. Shout out to Shady Rays for sponsoring this episode. Do you want to look as cool as I look? Yes, you do. And you can. You can take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an unbeatable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair that I've ever worn in my life. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. Exclusively for you listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. You can go to shadyrays.com and use the code KindaFunny. You can get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. You can try for yourself the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Promo code KindaFunny at shadyrays.com.
I'm going to need a lot of forgiveness on this plot song, okay?
Sure.
It's going to be really, really tough to do, to multitask. Ready? Here's the plot.
Eye of the Tiger?
Here's the plot. It's gonna tell ya.
Oh, that's
He's
good.
gonna tell ya. Give me a hell yeah. Here's the plot.
That was really
That was
good.
actually really good.
It was
That
hard to
was
play,
good.
but I'm sorry.
Welcome back to Fast Five, ladies and gentlemen. Tim, what's the number one rule when you're hunting Dominic Toretto and his team above
No
all
matter
else?
what happens, don't ever let them get in a car.
The best.
Yeah, baby! That was
the
like
best.
The Rock's debut into this franchise,
It's the
man.
best.
We're going to get to The Rock in a second here. But one of the reasons why absolutely like this movie hits me with such a nostalgic feel is because this is The Rock. The Rock's like, I'm here party for me, right? The Rock is a side character in this. Some would say a villain, the antagonist in this to a degree. But he is Rock straight
Hard.
up 1.0.
Dude,
We're
yeah.
not trying to act. We're not trying to one note. And that is summed up in fucking when he says this guy's Old Testament, and I love it.
Yep.
I love The Rock in this movie. We're gonna get to the sweat, everyone. I know.
Oh,
I know,
man. It's
I know what you're
impossible not
thinking to
to.
yourself. 'Cause
Impossibly
this man looks
wet.
like every scene. It looks like he just stepped out of a fucking pool.
Impossibly wet.
Dominic Toretto is serving a 25 to life sentence for his sins. Not if Paul Walker and his Honda have something to say about it, Andy. They flip a bus over about 100 times, and we finally cut to the title, Fast Five.
Finally cut to the title, you say.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? This is like the most energetic, electric opening to a movie fucking ever. How did Fast 4 end, Nick? Let me ask you a question. How did it end?
I honestly do not remember.
With Vin Diesel being put on that very bus, being
right.
sent to prison.
Okay.
This movie opens with them breaking him out. How do they break him out? By flipping the bus 100 times.
But hey, but as the newscaster said, no fatalities.
No fatalities. We're all
Nobody-
good. We're all
everybody's
good.
good.
Amazingly, it results in
Hilarious.
no
Damage
case.
rules.
They didn't talk about how people probably are fucking paralyzed for life in this, right? But whatever, it doesn't
Also,
matter.
the physics of Paul Walker, the bus hitting Paul Walker's car, and Paul Walker's car not moving a single goddamn
Strong
inch.
car.
How
He works that a
American
lot.
Steel, apparently.
Dude, a shout out to this movie, though. It finally gave Mia things to do. And like her driving, I
Oh,
thought was
Mia.
awesome.
Yep.
Like it was, Mia in this, I think, is really, really great. At some point, it's revealed she's pregnant, and then she kind of becomes
She gets sidelined a little bit.
semi-sideline. But at the same time, while she's pregnant, she still does a lot of action set pieces.
It's true. We cut over to Rio de Janeiro. Brian and Mia,
Brazil.
man, and Dom are all fugitives from the law, and man, one of them is pregnant. Do you think that? Real talk. Do you think that at any
Which
point?
one? You gonna tell us?
I'm sorry. You know what? I wrote the joke in here, Tim, and if it's on the page, I gotta.
Oh.
You gotta read it.
Do you think at any point, Jordana Brewster was like, "If I have a child, I'm gonna name it Walker Walker, or just Walker for short, after Paul Walker"?
Like in her personal life?
Well, when I wrote that, it was late last night, and I forgot the character's name was Brian O'Connor. Hey, Vince is there to greet them. I was like, I thought the
Returning
character's
from
name was...
one.
There it is. Vince is there, and I was like, oh my god, I can't remember the name of this character, so I spaced on his name, and I wrote something completely horrible.
Can I make a
That was-
confession?
Please do.
I fucking love Vince.
This is great.
Holy shit. Okay.
All right.
He's such an asshole in the early ones, but I get it. Like he is an asshole that plays within the rules of like not trusting the newcomer, being very protective of the original family and stuff like that. And I love that he gets this fun little reintroduction and redemption arc into it. And he's just there's something about him, you know? You gotta love a bad boy.
It is. It's true. As to why they trust Vince at the end of this movie, beyond me. He just happens to save Mia in this random thing that if I were Dom, it would be like, that's clearly a setup for you to infiltrate our organization. You've already worked for AS once. Why would I trust you anymore? But Dom's like, you gotta say grace. And it's like, oh, I let him off the hook pretty easy on that one. Anyway.
Family, Nick.
Oh, Christ. Who isn't fucking family to this guy? You know what I'm talking about? Like, the guy, the
awfully
fucking
accepting.
kid that works at the coffee shop gives him a good lie. Like, you family now, kid. You're going to go down
gotta
as
say
a
grace.
fugitive.
He's gonna get great coffee for the rest of his life. He knows
So
what
true.
he's doing.
Rosa, Vince's wife, is there, and she spots that Mia is pregnant, but Mia hasn't told anyone yet. And then Vince pitches Brian on a job to steal some cars. Got to get right back into it because they are on dire straits right now. Dom finally arrives, and Vince is all happy about it. And oh my God, I forgot about the train sequence. What?
How did you forget
It's
about
so
one of the greatest
good.
action set pieces in movie history?
Totally great. And then the fact that we haven't seen Dom yet, and as the car pulls up and someone starts cutting through it, the side of the train falls, and who do we see? Dominic Toretto.
Oh my god. It's a megalodon. It's a megalodon.
Megalodon.
Look, this movie is what it is. Some movies are greater than the sum of their parts. This movie is great despite the sum of its parts. But I will say this. This reveal of Dom, having not seen a Fast and Furious movie in a while, fucking hit. I was like, yes.
Why?
Because he's awesome. That's why.
Because he's wearing his black tank top and the biggest cross we
Oh, the
have
big cross,
ever
yeah. It's huge.
seen in our lives.
Well, Tim, as you know, he has two looks,
Mhm.
right? This is like a game from like 30 years ago where it's like, oh my God, I can change my outfit. No, it's the same outfit. It's just one's black and one's white.
Mhm.
And we're going to talk about the all-white outfit
Yep.
as being arguably the least flattering thing any human being's ever fucking worn.
Mhm.
But this is his
It's a
big
different
outfit.
time.
This is when you go to the theater and you're part of the production team and they used to make you wear like all
Crew.
dark clothes. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
crew. He's crew on this.
I mean, dude, honestly, this is the iconic Dom Toretto look.
Oh, yeah.
Fast Five.
Yeah. And then, of course, we get this tremendous back and forth between two friends who haven't seen each other in a very, very long time. I thought I told you to lay low. We were running low on fumes. We were running on fumes. Had to make a call. And then Dom goes, what? Not enough in the gas tank? And then Paul Walker goes, riding along with my top down to the sun, getting sunburned. It's so dumb. So fucking dumb. I was going to keep going, sorry. But the car parlances, the car talk is so absolutely stupid. Can you bring me back one of these little delightful?
Bring him by one of
bad
those.
boys? But it doesn't matter because guess what, folks? We're about to get it. We're about to get treated to a banger of an action sequence.
Can I also just say,
Mhm.
in every movie, I think that there's a moment where something happens and I remember that Jordana Brewster is Dom's sister. There's the
She looks
connection
like Paul
for
Walker's
family.
sister. I'll just say that.
There's nothing about them feels familial
No,
to me
at all.
because everything feels familiar. So there's no like brother sister
Everybody's
dynamic
family,
really.
yeah.
Yeah, also, I'll
I
say
just
it.
always
I'll say it.
forget.
Dom and Jordana Brewster, a little bit of a chemistry. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
No.
That was a test. Not there. That's a test. Vin Diesel has chemistry with absolutely zero people.
But Elena, he just gives her some eyes sometimes.
Okay, so there's like a lot of eyes going on in this.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
We could talk about the eyes that we get later between
Han and Giselle.
Han and
Ugh.
which is like, but it's
the
at
most-
such a stupid time.
It's the most.
It's the best.
And again, this is what I'm talking about. This movie has a charm to it, despite the fact that the way we know that Han's falling for Giselle is like a junior high school kid wrote it
Mhm.
in his fucking like notebook.
yeah.
She just says something, and he goes. We cut to a close-up shot of him going.
No, it's him saying something.
Oh, and then
she
she
looks
does
at
it.
him.
That's what
and,
it is.
and it's something just so
It's that
Yeah.
dumb ass banter where he's like, "Your ex Mossad, I can tell by the gun you pulled out." She goes, "You used to be a 2-pack-a-day smoker. I can tell by the chips you're eating." I was like, maybe he just likes chips. What's happening here? And they fall in love, and it's so fucking bad. It's so bad. It's good. It's like soap opera level bad.
I just want to call out in the chat real quick. Joe Mertens in the chat says Dom has awesome chemistry with Helen Mirren, and that
He
is
does.
1,000% true. It is the number one.
But
like
Joe, he's not Dom in those moments. He's just happy Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
In those moments, he's just happy to be Vin Diesel to be with Helen
Yep,
Mirren. at the
100%.
end.
but it is
It's
weird
so funny.
how sexually charged it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Joey, listen, I'm
I
gonna
agree.
say something right now,
Uh-huh.
and I'm gonna try to say it as delicately as humanly possible because I do want to be sensitive to everyone out there.
You're nothing if not sensitive.
I'm nothing if not sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Helen Mirren is like God tier level when it
Mhm.
comes to having an appeal. We'll just say that, okay?
Huh.
And that appeal that she radiates
Rubs off on you.
Mm-hmm.
will have. It could be she could have chemistry with a fucking piece of styrofoam,
Hmm.
and Vin Diesel pretty much is at that level most of the time
Yeah.
in that scene.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So I'll just say this. You know the old joke, the old Norm Macdonald joke, where it's like ID stands for identification. Seems like D is doing all the heavy lifting in that.
yeah,
Okay, Helen Mirren's doing all the heavy lifting in that scene. We'll just put it that way. We'll just say that. Okay.
we haven't really progressed much on the plot.
Got
so.
it.
No,
got it.
good,
No.
good, good. But here's what I want.
That's a
Here's
lot
the
of
real
other
talk. Real,
stuff.
real.
We're talking
real
about people
question.
giving each other looks, and Nick was saying that Jordana Brewster and Vin Diesel have a lot of chemistry.
Of course he did.
And he said that was a test because he said
We were not on
chemistry
board with
no
that.
one. Yes, no-
Dang.
Yeah. Did I mean it when I said it? Yes. Did you guys not agree with me? And I pivoted very
yeah,
quickly.
you pivoted real
I
fast.
love you so much.
Shift the blame.
And again, that means hate.
Yeah.
There it is. So for whatever reason, I watched this scene back twice, but maybe I missed something. Why does Dom change the plan in this?
Because he hears them talking about the car.
They were like, "Hey, we
They-
have to get the GT40."
Yeah.
But why does that make Dom want the GT40?
Because he's super smart and intuitive, and he knows.
He knows that
Oh.
they're gonna fuck them over.
Nick,
Yeah.
He
this
needs
is
to
the
fuck
movie
them over first.
after Fast Forward where he learned detective vision.
right? Okay. Because I watched this a lot, and I was like, "Oh, I
You didn't
thought-
see it, but he clicked right stick. He clicked
Yeah.
R3 and the.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
main
overlay
path.
pop up.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I could have swore I missed the line where they were like, "Hey, we're gonna fuck them over," but Dom just sort of intuits it,
It's just implied.
which is weird because the guy's like, "What the fuck?" Like, then she goes, "I'm gonna take the GT40," and the guy's like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Oh, the car suits me more." And the guy's like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?" Like, there's a plan to this, and you guys are changing the plan. So I would actually argue, and here's my argument for it,
Let's hear it.
Yeah,
because
please.
at some point, Elena goes, "You didn't kill those people on the bus, right?" On the train, referring to the DE agents that got murdered.
La
Right? They got
Pinteria.
shot a lot by who we think is the bad guy. But in reality, that plane went south for one reason and one reason only, because Dom called an audible because he wanted whatever was in that GT40. His lust for it, right? His greed for whatever was in that car got those DE agents killed. So in Elena, another look where he's just like,
Yeah.
he like gets her, he gets close to her, and he's like, "What do you think?" She's like, "I don't think you didn't kill those DE agents." So I'm like, maybe you didn't pull the trigger, but by proxy, those DE agents' death are on your fucking on your head.
Chaos
They're
follows.
on your head.
Nope. I lost
Your
it.
shiny,
The blood is
shiny
on your
head.
hands.
They're
The
on your
blood is
hands.
on
That's
your
the
hands.
blood on your
Yeah.
hands. That's what
I
I
don't think so.
100%.
They just have that. Those two guys just call like, "Oh, we'll take that one," and then she says no. So like, it's not like they had an established plan beforehand that they were gonna take the car. Otherwise, the line would have been like, "We're taking this car."
Well,
instead
he
of
said,
just, like, being
"I'll
more
take the GT40," and
nonchalant.
Jordana Brewster's like, "Oh, I'll take it."
Was it
Yeah.
James Bond's Aston Martin or not? What's happening there?
We're not
Excellent
gonna.
question.
I'm not.
You know
I'm
what's
not-
most important?
What's that?
That car is hot as fuck.
It-
GT40.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fucking
and it
yes.
does suit Jordana Brewster, and that
It's
is
me.
Well,
okay, that's what I want to
All
say
of
to
the cars suit
everybody.
everyone. Anyway, a bunch of DE agents get killed, and let's be perfectly honest, it's everyone's fault. Ours as well, because we supported the first 4 Fast and Furious movie. This sequence is fucking so fun. The sequence with the dune buggy truck, all that shit. Paul Walker out there, the guy with the blowtorch takes a blowtorch to him. The truck half explodes somehow, and instead of going that way, it goes onto the train, which doesn't make sense physics-wise, but Paul Walker's hanging off of it, which is great, which prompts Dom to be like, "There's one car left." And he gets in the Corvette and saves his best friend, but they can't stop Tim. There's no stopping this amount of masculinity in a
Now-
Corvette.
Oh, you're so right. I do want to give a shout out here. Like I always talk about scores in movies and like how it sounds, the music of it all. And it's tough with something like Fast and Furious that I think the license stuff is iconic. Obviously, the and like the Tokyo Drift theme and all that stuff. But Pitbull just throughout the entire thing. Limp Bizkit, I'd even go. Fast and Furious.
Omar at the
It's
end of this
freaking-
one.
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of great licensed music here, right? But like, I don't think the score gets talked about enough because it to us is like, oh, it's generic action stuff, but it's the standard of generic action stuff. Brian Tyler goes fucking off.
There are
in these-
moments near the end that it's like Hans Zimmer like.
dude, totally.
Like
And
just watching it, I was like, this chord progression reminds me a lot of Hans Zimmer like
this
moments.
it defines how these movies are supposed to sound, how action movies are supposed to be, and I think that like we don't give enough credit to Brian Tyler for identifying that sound. Like, and it started back in Tokyo Drift. Like all the action scenes, like some of those songs are still used to this day in like trailers and commercials and things. But the Fast theme song, like score wise, was introduced here in Fast 5. And it's the one where it's just kind of like the dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun dun dun
And
dun
fucking
dun,
Han
dun,
pops
dun.
up and
and
it
it's
plays.
just so good.
Dude.
And I didn't realize that this was the origin of it. But because now we're so used to hearing it. And when we first heard it, it was like, whatever, it's just generic score. But now you're like, oh, Brian Tyler
when dude,
cooking.
that moment near the end when Han pops up and that music plays, like, oh my god, it's so good.
I just want to talk about it real quick. They drive the car toward the cliff. Can't stop.
Won't stop.
And we get arguably I would say probably the coolest shot in the whole movie. And I believe they used it in the trailers. And it gives you that feeling of inertia that you only get, I'll say it, from when Tom Cruise risks his fucking life
Absolutely.
for our enjoyment.
Absolutely.
This shot's awesome.
Awesome.
Does it make any sense? No. But again, this is what the Fast and Furious is. It's so fucking absurd that it breaks your brain and you go, I'm having a great time.
Oh yeah.
This is arguably taller than the Golden Gate Bridge, but they survive somehow. It doesn't matter.
I just love the sort of looks on their faces, like the fear and like we could just die here. Who knows? Like I just love the looks that Vin Diesel and Paul Walker have as they're getting out of the car. Like what the fuck?
I mean, dude, Paul Walker on the
Like
back,
holding on to
kinda
the back of
getting-
the car.
Yeah.
holding on the back
So
before he
sick.
jumps off.
So
It's
fun.
sick.
Now, do you like that look? The look of fear? Or do you like this next line that I wrote where they pop out of the water? You had to make a call, huh, Connor?
Shitty call.
Shitty call.
I love that. I love that.
Like every fucking opportunity they have to write a dumb fuck line, they did, and somehow fucking Vin Diesel fucks it up. But it's funny. It's fun.
Dude, that's what makes this good, though. I feel like if it didn't have the one-liners, it's like, this would be fucking weird, and we'd be like, this is unbelievable. But when you have that stuff, it's like, these guys.
Yeah, it adds to the
Our
silliness.
friends did the thing.
It adds to the silliness of it.
Well, of course, Reyes is there, and his men come and pick them up, and he takes them back to a nondescript location and strings them up because he wants his Ford back. But instead of sitting there and supervising the torture, he's watched a couple Bond movies, Tim, and he knows that, hey, I don't need to be here. I will leave these guys in the very capable hands of this NPC right here, this person who doesn't even have a character name, and that guy, oh, wait, he's dead. Okay, cool. Because, and how do they get him out of the cuffs? Who gives a fuck? He just busts out
No,
of them.
that's how.
I
Vin
love-
Diesel busts out of the cuffs.
Right.
It's a really cool little moment as well. Paul Walker just kind of showing you the line of work that he's been in for the last however many years, looking up the ceiling and being like, "You're not letting us out of here alive. Like you're planning on killing us here."
Yeah.
And then like what they needed to do was put them in the same jail that they had the Hulk in Avengers 1.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
needed to put
Oh,
them
yeah.
in there in order to be safe.
Well, they didn't know that Vin Diesel. Let's just say they don't know how he's getting those big muscles, right? They're not quite sure what supplements he's using to put in his body, so they don't know how those are going to react to solid fucking steel handcuffs.
Super Soldier Serum.
Super Soldier Serum. I want to point out, and I'll point it out throughout the rest of my plot synopsis. I've always loved, and I always will love how Paul Walker fights in this. It's a very Muay Thai style.
I mean, it's
so
real.
fucking
It's
dope.
him.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. We can
So
talk about
cool.
his acting. We can talk about everything. Like, he is an action star, and we just robbed of our time, for sure. But, like, he does the stunts himself, and, like, that goes all the way through. And when you watch Fast 7 and stuff, some of the crazy things he's doing, like, good for you, Paul.
While watching this, one of my thoughts was, if he had not been taken from us so soon, how many Amazon Prime series and movies would he have been in?
No.
Think
would have
about think about like the boom of action movies. Like
He would have
the
been in the
Russo brothers
Tomorrow
making
War.
like 9 of them. You would have
I
what?
would have loved
He
it.
would have been in the Tomorrow War instead of Chris Pratt.
Oh wow.
I don't want to say instead of, in
No.
addition to.
In addition to,
I there's an alternate reality where he didn't pass away, and he's a character in John Wick 5.
oh,
And you're like, that would have been
dang.
yeah, or
Fuck.
you know, he would have been in that
That's
series
awesome.
for sure because I think that would have happened. Anyway, I'm a little disappointed with the scene, and I'll tell you why. Having the character just bust out of handcuffs, obviously, yes, it serves to tell us, hey, Vin Diesel is this big hulking brute. I like the difference between how he fights because he's about to go up against The Rock, which is like a mirror image of him, versus how Paul Walker fights. That stuff's super fun. But to your earlier point, where they're always sidelining Mia, I wish they had figured out a way to allow these two characters to be saved by her just once,
Yeah.
or anyone else.
I mean,
just
she's the
once.
man in the chair later on,
Yes.
like, right?
And we get
That's
that.
her character. But I'm with you. Like,
It
I
was a
feel
missed
like she could have
opportunity,
done
I'll
more
say that.
here. Yeah, like putting her behind the driver's seat, I appreciated in the beginning, but you're totally right. Like, this whole scene felt like they just needed to make Vin Diesel, Dominic Toretto, a physical force that we haven't seen yet in these movies.
Right. Dom wants to know why they wanted that car so badly. It's time to take this bad boy apart. Mia tells them that they're all they get back to the thing. They're all blamed for killing those DE agents, which, again,
Totally
arguably kind of true,
yeah.
right? I'll put it this way: you go rob a liquor store with your friend, you shoot a guy, your friend's going to jail too for accessory to murder. Just throwing that out there for everyone. That's how I see it. But I've never stolen a car. Never been invigorated by it.
Thank
We'll
you,
see what happens.
lawman Nick Scarpino.
Anyway, they're all at the top of the most wanted list. Enter The Rock. Now, I typed a lot of words.
Yeah.
I typed a
glistening
lot
one of them?
to describe the dewiness of The Rock's face in this. But Tim, Glistening was the only one that I could think of that
Yeah.
fit.
Shiny.
He is sweating at every junction of this movie.
That
Different levels of
Under Armour
sweat.
must have 7 pounds of sweat in it.
It's to the point that it reminds me of. Did you ever see Airplane?
No.
Yes. in the,
A parody movie. There's a scene where he has
Oh,
to take
I
off.
have.
He has to fly the plane.
I'm sure you've
and
seen a gif of it, Joe.
Yeah.
He's sweating so much. It's comically sweat. There was a couple scenes in this where I'm like, was he just sweating and they just couldn't stop it, so they leaned into it?
Couldn't
I have to
stop it.
imagine it, right?
I love the idea of Justin Lin like being in the producer chair and like kind of being in the special effects room and be like, can we comp out the sweat?
And they're like, he's like, there's no plugins. There's no plugins that will allow us.
Dude, going
have
back
that
to it, man,
sweat.
it's funny because like this movie, I was saying earlier, it's like it's the most like taking Grounded to the extreme, like the highest we can go. And I think that this is the introduction to The Rock as we know him now. Like he was not a
Dude,
bazillionaire mega movie star until Fast Five.
He was
and like,
the Tooth Fairy and all of those like kind of kooky.
he did the
weird
rundown. He did some good
he
movies
did great
before
stuff.
this.
Yeah, there was some
Yeah.
wins. And obviously, The Rock in WWE, like he was a mega celebrity. But like this was the movie that put him on the map. The way we think about The Rock in quotes as like this persona,
Yeah.
gonna
There's
run
no
for president.
skyscraper without The Rock.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
There's no Jumanji without Fast Five.
yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, that's the point. But I love that like he's more serious of a character in this. Like his one-liners are a bit more like in the future movies. He's having more fun.
Yeah.
Here he's saying ridiculous things, and that's what makes it funny. But like the amount he's sweating makes it funnier. Like it makes it so good because he's just a sweaty man.
Dude, I love I think this might be my
Give me the
favorite
fucking
role.
veggies.
The Rock.
Favorite
You know I like my dessert first. Now give me the fucking veggies.
It's so bad.
The
I love it.
goatee.
It's amazing.
The fact that
The
he was
goatee.
the fact that
goatee.
he was sort of this is the final form of The Rock, the beginning of the final form for Rock. If you guys remember, you go back and look at even his physique from those other movies. He was big, but I distinctly remember seeing him in this movie being like, "What the fuck did you put your body through to get that big?"
Oh, see that's the wild thing because as I'm seeing him in here, similar to a lot of the other actors, you do that. Man, they all look so young. And with The Rock, I'm like, wow, he looks kind of small here.
Really?
But it's just compared to like what I've seen of him
The
recently.
prison break sequence from Hobbs and
Yes,
Shaw.
and anything that he's done on social media in the last couple of years, it's like where he is just massively roided. This one, he's obviously so gigantic in this
Yeah.
movie, but it's still like kind of pales to what he is now in my
This
mind.
isn't Daddy's got to go to work. The Rock.
Yeah.
Where I feel like that for me is like peak physical form.
when he flexed and busted out of a cast.
It's the only way to get out of it. What do you think you're gonna put the fucking Rock in a cast? Get out of here. Well, all I'm saying is this:
shit.
I think The Rock saw this and was like, "Hey, this is a tremendous opportunity to elevate my career and really put that work in." Because if you look at the difference between his physique in the movies he did before this and this, you could tell it was like it's like when Chris Evans was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be Captain America," and just got jacked. Or Hemsworth being like, "Hey, we're gonna put our all into this," because he just has this real presence on screen. It's ridiculous.
I'm gonna eat
I mean, it's
chicken.
funny you
but
say
it's
that.
so fun.
Because I almost doubt it. Like I think that this is like no one was looking at Fast Five as going to be what turned Fast and Furious into a eventually $1 billion property, right? Like Fast Five, this was the turning point. Like I think
Yeah.
that everyone involved in this film just fucking wanted to make a good Fast and Furious movie.
Hey, you might be right. You might be right. But anyway, shout out to The Rock and shout out to this incredible goatee that he should absolutely grow back. And shout out to every single line of dialogue that was written for him, that was said by him, because it's just ridiculous and fun. It's fun. Being with this character is fun.
I'd say arguably the most ridiculous thing about this movie is the dude that he's talking to here with that dyed ass black hair. That is the that is the least convincing dye job I have ever seen in my life. It's okay to go gray, brother. The dude with like kind of the one
Yeah.
who's like giving him the news.
Yeah.
It's just such a weird little haircut. It's a weird little haircut. It's so like it's also super shiny. It is like insanely
not
slicked down, and it is the darkest pitch black you've ever seen in your life. Like it doesn't reflect light, but it's still shiny somehow.
I did not know that, but you always back me up on the whole wig thing. So yeah, this guy's hair sucked.
I need chat. What I need y'all to do is tweet that guy a photo of that guy to Nick, and you'll be like, "Wow, this is the like."
Here's what I really
We
want.
didn't have to do that dye.
Do me a favor, chat. Do that to me. Tweet me, and then tweet at Tim. This just the sweatiest picture you can find of The Rock from this movie.
you.
Actually, what
Please.
I'd like to know is I'd like to see the sweat progression and see what scene was he most sweaty in, because I think it's about
Gotcha.
midway through the movie. There's literally drips of sweat coming off him.
So the funny thing about that is that I guess that now that I've watched so much wrestling, I am no longer like phased by the sweat because it just seems like very on brand.
Well, because
He
you
is
used
one
to
of
see
the-
Roman Reigns so
Yeah,
wet.
Exactly. And I feel like it's very on brand for him.
It's definitely on brand for him. It's definitely something that doesn't necessarily pull you out of the movie, but it's definitely something as a person that wanted to make movies in my life, and you deal with actors and have a makeup department that purposely tries to make them look less sweaty, like less glistening, less dewy. It's just interesting that they were like, let's go with it. You're going to be the only person sweating in Brazil. No one else is sweating. I think at one point Paul Walker has a little bit of sweat right here, but that's pretty much it. He cut to The Rock and he's just fucking.
It's hilarious. He
pouring
looks like Jordan in a fucking 4 overtime game. Like,
it's
he's
so-
wet.
It's so
Him,
great.
I love it, man.
Anyway, we cut over to Reyes, who's pitching some business partners, and he doesn't like the way they do business. He wants to try how he does business. That it's basically like just normal gangster business, where he like buys the favelas off instead of threatening them, but there's still the threat of violence.
Another weird thing where I'm like, this movie's so grounded. Like, this is the villain. And it's like he's doing really bad things, like really, really, really bad things.
Like Tim, he's not using satellites to target like some shit. You know?
It's not like making people putting rats on people to like dig through their bodies.
Like you're talking about Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah.
Then you jump to the Fate of the Furious, the
Yeah.
8th movie, where there's zombie cars.
Yeah.
Like it's insane that like the plot of this is like, yeah, there's a gangster guy that is making money
He's
and
a
doing
bad
some bad
dictator sort of
things,
dude,
and like
yeah.
he's running this place, And like, good for them. They're gonna stop it.
I mean,
Or
Vince-
not, just get the money. Like they're not even really trying to stop the bad guy.
Yeah.
No, but they know that if they take all of his money, that
Yeah,
his
yeah,
empire will crumble. And again, I
But
love.
that's not the point.
No, I mean, that's what he says it at some point. He's like, hey, if we want to hit this guy hard, we want freedom, we have to take him out, and the best way to do that is with his cash. Turns out the best way to do it is put 2 fucking bullets in his chest as you're walking by him, which I would normally have a problem with as a character, but the fact that The Rock fucking did it and
The
did it so
best.
nonchalantly is incredible.
That's for my team. Bitch.
With that badass, like, matte silver
That's
revolver.
a gun that anyone, if any of us try to hold that, that's like a two-handed. You're holding that like an AK, but
Like,
for the
I don't
Rock,
know if I
it's a
can get my
handgun.
fingers to wrap around it correctly.
You get that gun in a box.
We hold it like a shotgun.
And if you don't have enough steroids in your body to open the box, you can't hold the gun.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Vince and Dom argue.
Like the
'cause he's
sword and the stone.
Yeah, exactly. The sword. No, I can't. I have nothing. Vince.
It's okay.
Vince argues with Dom because and he brings up some very valid points where he's like, "Hey, man, your leadership of this family has sort of led us all to ruin. So just FYI." And then Elena Neves shows up, played by.
Chris Hemsworth's wife.
I had her name.
Yeah.
Elsa Pataki.
Elsa
Pataki.
Elsa.
Elsa.
Elsa. She's
Pataki.
awesome. I think that's her last name. Pataki.
I think it is. But it also sounds like a Hey Arnold character.
Yeah, it's Helga's.
Helga Pataki.
Yeah, wow.
She's come to translate stuff, and she's like, why did you pick me? And we get a little backstory on her. He's like, you might be the one only honest cop in Brazil because your husband died, and then you joined the force, which means you're out for revenge, and I'm out for revenge. And the guy's like, hey boss, I got good news and bad news.
I
for you."
want to just really quickly say I'm sure I mentioned this in the first time we did this, but I also just love this sort of back and forth because it starts off really sexist and like.
Yeah.
I like her smile. And it's like, oh, goddamn, this is an old movie. And then it The Rock is just kind of saying that to be a bullshit, but he's like, no, like, here's why. Because of all these other reasons, you're the only person who won't turn and be corrupt. You're like probably the only good person in this whole precinct.
Well, he told the people who were corrupt, the cops that were
That's
helping
why he
him,
wanted her.
that
Yeah.
he liked her smile
Yeah, yeah.
as a red herring to get her in. And
Mhm.
when she says that, he goes, that's not really why I wanted you here. I wanted you because I can trust you, which makes us like The Rock. And we're like, damn it, am I rooting for The Rock now? And the answer, Tim, is fucking always.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always rooting
Oh,
for The
yeah.
Rock.
I hope
anywhere
that one
he's
day
at.
he gets a spinoff, maybe with the guy that killed Han.
It would be
I don't know.
awesome.
That would be wild.
It would be awesome. Then I hope that one day both he and Tyrese feud with with Vin Diesel in real life, which has some very weird mirroring moments in this movie. We'll get to that later. The team figures out that the chip the chip that controls the radio, the multimedia interface of this car, has the keys to Reyes's vast empire on it. Why? Shut up. Who
Dude,
cares? It
you're
doesn't
so-
matter.
Oh,
You're-
I just
you're
thought it
so
was
right.
hidden in there.
That's what I thought too.
Well, why?
Oh yeah, why?
Because
Would you
hide it.
hide From who? Like, why wouldn't you keep that on your person or just memorize where that's at?
I don't know. I feel like it's in a lot of movies whenever somebody breaks in to get something, and it's always like the most obvious thing because it's a. I'm trying to think of like any fucking movie where they're trying to break in like a heist type thing. It's like, oh, it was the most obvious thing they would hide.
Password.
Yeah.
Yeah, some shit like that. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that like we're gonna hide this little electronic thing in this like CD deck.
I guess it makes sense because the CD deck was sort of like a computer, and it was kind of hiding it in plain sight with some encryption there. It just seems to be like that's like a. Hey Tim, where did I store that 20 million? I can't remember. Gotta go home to the car to get the stuff out of the car. And also this incredibly rare car that I guess they found, the DEA must have confiscated, right? And they said that it was like all these cars were confiscated off a drug bust or whatever it is.
La Dea.
It's an interesting MacGuffin. It's not the cleanest MacGuffin I've ever seen in my life.
Not
it's
at all.
completely absurd, but whatever.
It's weird as hell.
But it's car themed.
But that thing is it's car themed, and I love that because like we don't even have Ludacris yet, and we have at this point Mia, Dom, and Brian sitting around, and Vince, I guess, sitting around this, looking at him, be like, oh, and Brian's like, oh yeah, here's the deck, and here it's on all the options. Here's the thing. It's like just because you drive well and you like cars doesn't mean you know how to use the user interfaces of random ass fucking radio decks on a computer or in a car. Like, I
so great.
really, really care about audio tech and video and things like that. Anytime I get in someone else's car, I'm like, what am I even fucking doing here?
Of course, the team figures out that this thing is holding the secret to all of these cash boxes or hash houses, excuse me, that are stashed all about the city, which is where Reyes' vast empire is. I love this, by the way, as a huge fan of Narcos and a person who's watched way too many documentaries about Pablo Escobar. This is a real thing. They have to hide their cash someplace, and they're always getting knocked over or eaten by rats, which was the thing that Pablo Escobar had to deal with. It's hard out there.
And the people dealing with the money are always clothless.
Always.
So that they can't steal shit.
That's a weird one. Usually that's when they're doing, when you see them cooking drugs and stuff, because they can steal some of that. But it's like, I guess that makes sense, because you could steal dollar bills, right?
Can't stuff the money anywhere.
Let them peel off a little bit, I say. You don't pay them enough anyway. Let them take a little money for themselves.
Well, and like
you're a generous drug dealer.
Someone goes,
steal some, I
you know,
say.
I think Andy's been stealing from the till. I go, Andy works hard.
Let him have it.
And then I go, how much? And they go, he stole $1 million, man. Fucking kill him. Fucking kill him right now.
Leave his body in front of his parents' house.
Yeah, hang it. Yeah, straight in front of his parents. Jesus Christ.
I imagine it's because this is a PG-13 movie, but like you can also fit a lot of shit in your bra. So I don't know, like the girls are just in bras and underwear, but I imagine they didn't want like massive amounts of nudity in this movie.
They didn't want to get the R rating for that.
Put a little like $100 bill in there. Yeah. Easy.
You know. Anyway, The Rock shows up to an entire favela and then backs them down with his dope goatee. And then Reyes' people they show up and everyone just starts popping off, man. And again, you want to talk about fun sequences. The verticality in this, I think, is a really, really, really cool thing that I've not really seen before. I guess maybe we saw a little bit in the Hulk movie if it had come out by now, but maybe it had not. I don't know.
But like,
we also saw some of the verticality in Bad Boys too, of course. Sorry, Tim, I want to recognize that for everyone else. Nick, Bad Boys did it first. That was driving though. This one, they're jumping from building to building. Love all this.
Casino Royale is what it reminded me of the most.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like the action scene, like the parkour stuff. Like, I think that set it off. And that was, I think, 2006, this being 2011. Like, I feel like this is the 5-year later version of that action scene. I think they kind of crushed it. The beginning of the movie where we first see the favelas and we get like that beautiful helicopter shot of all of them. And we also see the big Jesus. Like, I was like, oh, wow. I didn't realize how much they set up the visual language of this for us to be like, oh, there's going to be an action set piece here and it's going to kick ass.
They do indeed. The Rock, of course, spots Dom. I like how this is shot. He's running, The Rock's sort of running like a tank and Dom's jumping from building to building and the camera pans up. Just perfect blocking as we see him go over there. If you can believe it, Andy, The Rock is even somehow sweatier at this part than he was earlier in the movie. Makes sense. What's up, Joe?
Where does sweaty Dom compare to sweaty Alec Baldwin?
That's a question of a lifetime.
Okay.
Or sorry.
The first time I know exactly what you're talking about from Departed. I get where we're going with this. But I told Andy I would not. I told Andy I would not bring up The Departed in this. I would not draw any comparisons between this movie and The Departed.
He made me a promise.
Root me in on this.
I'm going to
made me a promise.
I wouldn't have brought it up.
Staying positive on this film because I like this
Sign
movie.
a contract.
I have criticisms of it because it's fun to criticize a movie and sit here for 2 hours and dog on it. The Rock's super sweaty. It's weird, but it's fun. I like this movie. A lot. The Departed is a fucking garbage heap, though. And Alec Baldwin is sweating and bouncing off the goddamn walls in that sea container for no reason. Why is he bouncing it? Why is he comical? It's dumb. Doesn't make any sense. To answer your question, Joe, because I'm your friend, you know what? He's not going to put me in a corner. I will answer your question. He's not going to put me in a corner.
Nobody puts Nick in a
Baldwin's
corner.
a little sweatier than The Rock. Just a little bit sweatier than that.
No.
Do you disagree, Andy?
I mean, I just hate him. Just keep going. I'm just so tired of you.
Elena catches Toretto for a second, but then he saves her life. And she's like, she tries to tell people I'm a cop, and he goes, they already know you're a cop. And then kind of slinks away. And it's like, is this guy flirting with me during this action sequence? It's inappropriate time, Dom.
Yeah.
Inappropriate time.
You know what shot is really awkward that I really hate in this movie? Is when all of the Rock's agents on the roof kind of move slowly above and start shooting them from up there.
And then they do
it's,
this.
It's such an awkward like shot from like looking up, and they just kind of like it's so weirdly blocked and shit. It's really, really odd.
Yeah, I'll agree.
What's his name, by the way, from Barry?
From fucking Barry, right?
Yeah.
That guy's awesome on Barry. He plays NoHo Hank's partner
Boyfriend,
slash partner.
yeah.
I
don't know what his name is.
don't know what his name is either.
Great actor though.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
You ever watching Barry yet?
Mm-mm.
You should.
Barry,
He's
you gotta
great
watch
in
Barry.
it.
Yeah.
Elena, of course, finds Dom's cross.
Barry.
Real quick, you're saying Dom, you're saying Toretto a lot for the first time here. Reminds me, my
You
Pomeranian
got a cute dog.
named Toretto.
Yeah.
And we have not watched a Fast and Furious since I've gotten Toretto.
You haven't put him through the gauntlet?
Isn't that wild?
It's
Yeah, he's
pretty
never
weird.
seen one of the movies, so this was his first one, and we were like, he's gonna react his little heart out to this. No,
love it.
not at all. They say
No.
Toretto no less than 1,000 times in this movie, no reaction, and I was heartbroken because he's a reactive little guy.
You
Didn't
just
care.
all you need to show him is
Didn't care.
Dominic Toretto.
That's going to be the one that gets him.
It turns out your dog's been British the entire time. Elena finds Dom's cross, which means they're in love now. Dom wants all three of them to split up, but Mia's like, dude.
Here's what I'm saying. What I want in the future is Dom's cross to be the MacGuffin. I want
I
Dom's
think it
cross.
was.
No, but I want Dom's cross to be the key to some ancient
Time travel.
civilization.
The time
Yeah.
travel.
Like, or just something like it's
Robot
like,
heaven.
The
like-
space between spaces.
like where
Robot heaven?
like
Yeah.
he's told in a dream.
Transformers.
He's
Oh,
told in a dream or something that like the cross that you bear opens and then he's like
bear.
the cross that I
I bear
bear.
this cross.
I bear this cross, and he's and it opens up and some shit. It was on him the whole time. We didn't
The
know,
whole time.
dude.
All,
And he gets his secret car.
Yeah,
all 15 movie, and it's the same charger that he's had before.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be that same charger.
this one has
The most
Bluetooth.
obvious car you
though.
could be driving around Brazil. Anyway,
This one's got an aux and Bluetooth.
usually Bluetooth has a hard time connecting. Not this one. This one connects every single time. This one's got an awesome Bluetooth. That's the selling point. Oh, the sky's the limit with these cars. Anyway, Dom wants all three of them to split up, but Mia puts her foot down. She's like, "Look, I'm pregnant."
Oh,
And
thank
we
you from Hermit Homeboy in the chat. Cristobal is his name.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's the Cristobal in Barry. What's the actor's name? Or what's his character's name in this? Because I don't think I wrote it down. I'll find
don't
it
know.
later. Doesn't matter. Dom's like, you know what? She's like, Mia's like, we've split up before. It didn't go well. We have to stick together now. We're a family. I'm pregnant. And she says, she makes them all promise they'll stick together. And Dom goes, I'll promise. And then they all hug. And then he goes, our family just got bigger. And it hits.
It hits so hard.
It's so good.
It's dumb and it hits.
It's so good.
Have you
Because
been working
Tim,
on your dumb impression?
no, I think I finally just said empty your brain.
It's just Hulk.
See what comes out.
It's Hulk.
It's Hulk slash
It's kinda Hulk.
man.
Slash Sylvester Stallone, which
Yeah.
is what you
Oh
need.
yeah, okay.
Now, Tim,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why this hits, I have got 3 questions to ask you
Oh,
as to
God.
why this hits. Is it about the money, Tim? Is it about clout? Is it really about the cars? What's it about, Tim?
Family.
It's about fucking time. It's about family. That's right. Hobbs orders his people to put the car back together to find out what's missing. The guy's like, fuck, man, this sucks. And
What a hilarious plot, by the way. Like, again, from the moment The Rock first graces our presence on the screen and says, don't let them get in their cars. Then he asks for the veggies. He asks for all the things.
Now give me the damn veggies.
He needs to know. And here he is. He's like, remake the car so we can find what's missing. How the fuck would you ever think that's the plan. Andy Cortez.
Do we think it was a good usage
Of their time?
of the one F-bomb in this PG-13 film to be stay out of my fucking way? Where else could we put the
That's a great
F-bomb in
question.
this movie?
I don't even remember what you're talking about.
He's telling the guy all the rules. Get me this girl. She's I like her smile. Blah blah blah. And what else, sir? What's the
What
second
else can
thing?
I do? What else
Stay
can
out
I
of my
do?
fucking way.
Stay out of my fucking way.
Okay.
There's a better spot to use that, I think.
My thing with the PG-13 rating and the one F-bomb you're allowed is don't use it. Either go all in on the F-bombs or keep it away. What were we? Well, Guardians had an F-bomb in it, and I was like, I guess it's fine. I didn't need it.
It was great.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Some people are wrong about that
Yeah.
movie. You know what I mean? I don't know.
All right,
Loved it.
whatever.
One day,
Yeah, I
maybe
think-
5 years from now.
I agree. Some people are wrong about the movie.
Nick was
I don't know why I
laughing
did that.
so hard in the
I know,
theater.
I know what I just agreed to.
I was laughing during the Guardians watch when we were watching it.
Guardians.
It's fine
Guardians.
because at one point Andy leans over to me when Drax is trying to lay down. Actually, multiple points. Let me fucking honest. Multiple points throughout the 3-hour experience of the Guardians of the Galaxy, 2.5 hours. Andy just goes, Kevin. And he was right. He was not wrong. Anyway, I digress. I like this scene a lot. It's tedious. It's ridiculous. It's meticulous. It's what The Rock's character would do. It speaks toward his character. He would make his team, who revere him and are hardworking, work even harder to put this fucking car back together, which is very tedious.
He's like a really asshole coach, but you respect him.
But you win, championship.
You learn lessons from this.
My favorite part was one of the first lines he has, where he has a stack of papers with all the documentation about whatever the fuck they're looking into. And he goes, here's what makes sense. And then he throws the papers.
Yeah, it's great.
Good for you, Rock.
Keep him guessing. You know what I mean? Hobbs. Brian asked Dom. We have a tender scene here between them where he remembers his dad. And his dad's like, I remember everything about my dad. He tells a really, really nice story. The key takeaway, of course, is his dad used to barbecue for everyone.
And can I
after
play
church.
my favorite line delivery?
Please.
Probably top 5 line deliveries of all time.
Go for it, bro.
This is Vin Diesel talking to Paul Walker about the things he remembers about his dad. I hope this sounds good. If it doesn't, I'll just repeat it myself.
I remember everything about my father.
I remember my father. I also wrote down that, and I didn't know how to spell father.
It's something I don't remember hitting me in from the first time that I saw it, but I remember everything about my father. It is fucking hysterical, dude. And I'm so happy that it played as well as it did here on my phone, that you could, because I was like, will the music be too loud? Will this moment actually really, really hit? And I am so happy that it did. I'm going to play it one more time for all the folks back
Please
home.
do.
Here we go, everybody. Let me get the volume real up for you.
I remember everything about my father.
He's just fucking. He just is.
The perfect amount of slurring.
It's so good.
Like, were you drinking Coronas,
dude,
while you were filming this? Then
the barbecue every Sunday, unless you didn't go to church.
Yeah.
You didn't go to
Why?
church.
Because he wears the cross, and they had
They're
to
religious.
tie that in
They're religious.
somehow.
That's correct.
Oh, the father.
I remember everything about my
Of course,
father.
Brian's worried that he
Yeah, there's
won't
a
be
lot of
there.
L in it.
Yeah. There's a lot of L at the end of father.
Oh,
so good.
He reassures Brian. Dom reassures me he will be there for his dad, which prompts the conversation. Hey, we got to get out of this. We can't keep running. We got to get out. We got to get out now. Dom realizes the only way out is to use the chip to steal all of Reyes' money and buy our freedom. Quote, you realize you're talking about going up against the most powerful guy in all of Rio. Yes, we are. Then we're going to need a team.
Team.
Holy shit. Now, we've talked a lot on Interview. We've done over 300 episodes of this show, and the getting the team together moment is always one of the best, most hype, like, we love it things ever. I love that this movie straight up calls it out.
That's why Mass Effect 2 is the GOAT.
Got to get a team together. We
I
got
can't
it.
believe we haven't done Oceans yet.
We just got to do it.
We got to do it.
And
Now-
then they go around to the team. And again, Avengers, sure, we knew they were building to Avengers from other movie franchises. This will never be seen again. What a moment in time. A cinematic universe before cinematic universes, and they just lucked into it because of Justin Lin.
Thank you, JL.
we get introduced to all these wonderful characters that come back. Roman, Tej, We get Han coming back in, which is my favorite pop for Han. Giselle coming in on the motorcycle, badass, right? We have a great scene with her. Gal Gadot, just awesome.
Gal Gadot, the Gal Gadot.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was really good. I did that thing where I was like, I can make this better. Couldn't.
That's rare for you.
I held back for a
I'd
minute.
love
Damn
to
it.
see you try.
But my favorite part about this whole thing is when he goes, most importantly, what we're going to need is 2 precision drivers. Guys who don't crack under pressure. Guys who never lose. And Paul Walker looks at him laughing and goes, oh, you know we got that.
But it's so good, man. No, fuck you. Fuck
There's
you,
so
Nick.
many moments
I
where
will
like,
not
Paul,
take the slander, man.
Paul, why are you
This
laughing?
is Brian.
Why
It's
are
not
you-
Paul Walker.
Paul Walker, why are you laughing?
Brian O'Connor, the guy that we saw in not just Fast 1, but also Too Fast, Too Furious.
Furious.
All right? We've seen it, and also turbocharged, a supercharged Prelude. Okay?
I don't want to talk about it, cuz.
I love this. I love this for him. Good for him.
I love him too. I love him too. Tyrese, of course, hears what the plan is and wants to quit until he realizes how much money is on the line. And then he just starts being real nice to Vin Diesel again. Interesting. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Very telling. Very,
Hmm.
very. This sounds
Interesting.
accurate.
That's
You
wow.
offer more money.
Yeah, you need
Then
you
he's
got more money.
okay with it
Oh,
all.
everything's
Real life
cool.
parallels to this.
Remember when we watched Furious 7, Nick, before it came out, and then Tyrese came out and introduced the movie to us, and it was right after Paul Walker died, so that was actually really sad
Yeah.
because he was really sad.
Yeah.
But it was crazy that Tyrese was there.
Wild. That was a different era.
Yeah.
Now we go see these screeners and they're like, there's like 5 people in the theater. And they're not Tyrese. They're not.
Dude, we saw the Furious 7 screener, and we didn't get invited to a screener. We waited in line for like 4 hours as a group.
Damn, this is before reserve seating.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to the people that give
And
us.
then Tyrese was there.
That was wild. Yeah, it was like a midnight showing or something like that, right?
No, it
Wasn't
was the middle of the day.
Oh, God bless.
Downtown.
Do you think they knew Tyrese was going to be at that screening? I think
That's a great question.
a plan is hatched to hit the first cash house so that they can consolidate all the other ones, which is actually kind of a genius plan. So they do that. Hobbs figures out that they took the chip, and word gets back to them that the cash house job has been pulled. The important note, they don't steal the cash. They burn it. Why?
It's a very good question, Nick. It's a very, very good question.
Because you have to imagine that there's, how many cash houses they say? Like 20? Something like that, maybe 10? I don't know. I can't remember. $100 million. You figure that's $10 million right there. I'd be like, take the money. Why aren't, we're going to steal the money. This is not the Dark Knight moment where the character's like, I'm going to burn this big pile of money because gasoline and dynamite that's cheap for me, which speaks to the craziness of that's fucking $10 million.
Yeah,
bro.
this is not a moment where a superhero chooses not to kill the villain because no, I'm better than you. I'm gonna burn this money right here. Like I do not understand the reasoning behind this either.
Well, either way.
But I think I love the badassness of taking off the mask. Like, we're not hiding. You tell me who the fuck did this.
If I were one of the people that Reyes didn't know about, though, I might think about keeping that mask on just in case. Just, you know what I mean? Like, if I was Tej, I'd be like, he doesn't know me.
I'd be
I don't know.
behind
Well,
the pillow,
yeah,
like, with
and-
my mask back on, and like Nick would be like, Andy, take your mask off. Like,
And then I'd be like, this Andy Cortez from the RGV, take your mask off.
It is one of those tactical things. It's like, oh, maybe we don't show you literally every
Everyone on the
single
team.
person.
Chris Anka does
which-
make a good point. He says if they stole it, no one would think too much about it. Burning it seems more extreme, so it makes them consolidate all the other money.
I thought about that, Chris, and it's a valid point, but I disagree because stealing the money lets them know that these guys are going to hit the cash houses, which would prompt Reyes. He'd have to move the money. He has to move the money no matter what. They could have just said, they could have called him and be like, I know where your cash house is, and he'd have to consolidate the money. So why not just take the money?
It's weird.
It's weird. But
But
it
is
works. It works. And they take all $100 million, which nowadays maybe buys you a couple condos in New York.
Yeah.
But they take it all and they consolidate it. Literally gives them a call. The bad news. They're consolidating it, but guess where they're consolidating it to? The police station.
Come on.
Great idea.
Is this not one of the most hype moments in a Fast and Furious movie ever that's not a set piece or anything? The reveal that it's at a police station is like, uh-oh. Here's the heist. greatest heist movie ever. Maybe not the greatest, but one of the greatest heist movies. This is special. I freaking love it. And I love the scene you skipped over with The Rock talking about it all, where he's like, it's a damn shame putting bullshit like that on a classic. Might as well put neon lights on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, show Too
Right.
Fast some respect,
Yeah.
okay? Dwayne.
We all respect Too Fast.
Dwayne.
Wow, you
It's
just
special
Dwayned it.
for all. Too Fast is like when you're having a really nice brunch, but the table's a little wonky. You stuff Too Fast, Too Furious under one of the legs to make it even again.
You nailed that.
I don't know what that means.
You know exactly what it means.
Yeah.
Again, another great Paul Walker moment here, where it's a really intense scene where they're like, "Shit, we're beat. This is the midpoint of the movie. We don't know how we have to break into a police station. That's crazy." Ludacris doing a bang up job, being like, "Guys, it's over." Tyrese is like, "Guys, we can't do this.
It's a
We're talking
wrap,
about,
bro.
you're talking about breaking into a police station. I'm gonna leave."
This is
And
where we
starts
get
to
that
walk
look.
away.
We get the Gal Gadot look at Han as well, which we were mentioning looks earlier, and I didn't get this look at all because like Han didn't even say anything particularly cool. He just kind of like said a thing, and she looked at him like she gave him like the camera was like, look at her looking at him, check this out, and so he just kind of said I don't know, it was weird.
You could tell.
on,
You
dude.
could tell that look. By the way, the
right.
direction for that was look at him like you're falling in love with him. And Gal's like, "Okay," and did it once. They were like, "Perfect. That's great. We're not trying too hard on this one."
God bless her.
Intense should have been an intense moment. Tyrese, or maybe it was Lute, I can't remember, starts walking away. Dom shoots Paul Walker a very intense look. Paul Walker looks back at him, smiling with his tongue through his teeth. And he's like, "I'll go get him." And walks over and goes and gets Tyrese. You're like, Paul,
It's his
stay in the
boy.
scene, Paul.
It's his boy.
But he's laughing at him for being a wuss, like wussing out. That's what
that's
it looked
their
like.
vibe.
That's the vibe, dude. Remember
know,
when
I
they
know.
it's Barstow, baby?
I know it's Barstow. I know. Whatever. A new plan is hatched, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna.
What are they gonna do, Nick? Please tell me.
Well, we got to get a look at the vault that they're keeping this in, which most surely is a big vault. Tim, would you say it's a masculine vault, a big vault,
Oh, yeah.
like a
100%.
thick vault? Okay, of course. It's got
Biggest,
the hand thing.
girthiest.
It's got the thing. It's got a little. Boop, 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 boop. We got to get a look at it to confirm that it's the vault that we think it's going to be. There's only one person on this team, a guy that can talk his way into anything, to get something to sneak in a camera to this place. We got to send in Roman.
Biggest mouth.
Mouth himself.
And just, I understand that it's sort of a diversionary tactic, but could we have written the scene so that Roman doesn't come off like a complete and total fucking dumbass the entire time?
But he is a complete and total
I know,
fucking
I
dumbass.
know. But in my brain, I'm like, he should be good at something. And the thing that he should be good at is like talking his way into something. But he literally
did it,
shows the
though.
guy Brian O'Connor's badge and it says Caucasian on it. The guy goes, "It says Caucasian." He goes, "It's a tan." And at that point, I'm like, all right, we're starting to break the believability of this already completely ludicrous world. No pun intended. But whatever. It works. He gets the box in, and the box is a little RC car. They take it, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's the mother of all safes. This is the hardest safe to break into."
No,
We're
hold
gonna-
on, hold on.
No, it's ludicrous using his knowledge. He had a past life, Tim.
Yeah,
They had a past life, guys.
the fact that you have a problem with Roman's character of like fast talking it and into this, but you're just breezing through to the fact that Tej, Ludacris's character, who we last saw racing jet skis with his afro, the dual-sided afro in some senses, is now like, I'm gonna put a little RC car with the camera, and that's how we're gonna see stuff. The most Kevin Coelho ass shit I have ever
100%.
seen.
That's why I have no
You
problem
know,
with it.
and Nick, you know why you hate this?
What's that?
Because Roman and Tej, it's you and Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll agree.
Yeah.
I see a lot of myself in Tyrese.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Turns out, guys, they're like, "Look, this is they tapped into this. I can't remember if this scene comes first or not. At some point, they send plumbers in to the police station.
Who are the plumbers?
Who are the plumbers?
They're boys.
The two guys.
The guys from what?
Fast Four.
That's what. That's right. Okay, that's what.
And then eventually
Six and
the rest of the Fast.
I just couldn't remember what movie that. For whatever reason-
Dominicans.
Yes,
Mhm.
got them. They sneak into the police station because they've blown up. Tej, I think it was Tej and Tyrese blew up the plumbing. He's like, "Oh no, the two guys blew up the plumbing,"
Yeah.
and then they sneak in. And it's one of those things where you don't want to pull the layers of the onion off too much. But we've now had not one but two separate groups of these human beings infiltrate this police station already. But Dom's like, no, guys, we can't break in with human beings, even though we've kind of ostensibly done it twice. This camera system's way too complicated, Tim. How are we going to possibly beat this camera system? What are we going to use? Cars.
Yeah,
we
okay,
have
well,
to
yeah,
use
yeah,
cars.
Yeah. I thought that was the obvious answer. I didn't know where you were
No,
going
it
with
is.
it. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
I
They needed the safe.
to
They had
this
to get
day-
the safe out.
I'm not quite sure what they were trying to accomplish with the drifting. I assume it's to get to that one wall. But at a certain point, like, do you know what I mean? Like, what were they doing with the cars?
You know, I'm going to be honest.
I don't know either.
I'm going to be very, 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 very honest. I've watched Fast 5 at least 10 times. I've watched Fast and Furious movies many, many, many times. I've read about them. We've talked about them. I have never once thought about what the drifting was actually for.
Well, they're trying to beat the cameras in the parking structure. But how does that get them to the vault?
Once they're in, yeah, like that's a.
What was the plan?
You're bringing up a very good
And is
point.
that plan better and easier than the two plumbers who already snuck into the bathroom in the police station?
very funny?
What's
Just
scene
throwing
is
it out
Chris
there.
Ankin talking about? He physically can't watch. This is the poo poo.
Oh yeah, when the poo
Oh.
poo happened.
Dude, this sequence, like, it takes a lot to make me like want to physically vomit. Like this scene, I just like cannot watch, dude. It's so fucking gross.
The dynamic between these two guys, though, is
Yeah.
so good. Like the nagging back and forth. You're so negative.
Well, no,
You're so
one's
negative.
negative and one's really positive.
It's
I like
so
that.
good, dude. It's
Yeah.
like it's freaking perfect, man. I love all the stuff. It's like the
That shit's gonna
why
eat
do you
you
always
alive,
set the
man.
timer so short? Why do you set it so short? It's like, oh my god, feels so relatable to this company.
So relatable. But guess what, guys? Who gives a fuck? Because you know what we need right now? Some cars. And there's only one place to get cars from. I forgot about this scene, largely because it passes so quickly. But man, them going back to a illegal street race to get cars, to bet people cars and getting noticed and all that stuff. And the one line that Vin Diesel says where he's like, feels like coming home, right? I'm paraphrasing. It was a different
Yeah.
than that, but it's like that. It's very true. That's what this movie's about. Which
It's
imagine,
not
hold on.
a Fast and Furious movie till there's gratuitous ass shaking.
ass
Oh.
the asses have to be in the
Half-assed.
smallest early 2000s miniskirt, right? There has to be way too many of them to the point where you're like, I'm uncomfortable at how much this scene has been shot inappropriately. And then you have to have a slamming song on top of that.
Oh, yeah.
We get all those things,
We do.
which is great.
This scene of them like, oh, we need cars. Immediately, I was like, oh, I've seen this movie a million times. They're about to go get the cop
Yep.
cars. This is hype as fuck. This is
Nope.
the best thing ever. Holy shit.
Nope.
They get the cop cars. I love it. That's going to be great. No, I forget about this amazing scene where they go pay homage to the street race and all this stuff. But also, they meet up these random people in Brazil. All right?
Brazil.
We're not talking about LA. We're not even talking about around LA, maybe little Mexico, whatever we've seen of them having a run from the stories we've seen of Dominic Toretto in Fast 1, Fast 4, and here we are, right?
Mhm.
The guy that they go up against goes, Dominic Toretto's Charger in my garage. Can you imagine? As if Dominic
He's a
Toretto
legend, bro.
is a fucking legend, world-renowned driver. I just love it because now that's what we think of him as. But it was this moment that made that happen. Because before this, he sold tuna fish sandwiches
He really
at
did.
at a convenience store.
Yep.
Slash garage.
I think of all the things that kind of like, if I could pick one thing that bothers me the most about this movie, it's
I wonder if it's mine. said
it's
Joey.
the fact that in this pivot of a plan, which granted you have to kind of you play jazz, it's improv, you know, like the whole plan is fucked. We kind of have to kind of work on the fly. Is that like, let's get new cars? How? We have to street race to win them. Like it all like that's such a drastic thing to go do.
Now,
Anything could happen. Like, what happens? They come back like we're fucked. We didn't get the car. I lost
not
my
only-
car.
we lost our car.
He has my Charger.
now it begs the question: do you think that in this world that we've created for the Fast and Furious, that $10 million they burned could have bought them some cars?
Good point.
It's very true.
Great point.
Just throwing it out there. Again, arbitrary number. I don't know if it's 10 million or not. Could have been 5, whatever. But I love. I digress.
Could have bought at
I
least one
actually
car.
love this scene, and I'll tell you why. Because it's a misdirect. You think we're going to go into a traditional Fast and Furious street race scene,
Nope.
and they come right back
Hard
with the
cut.
Porsche GTR.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The question that I always have
You threw it
about
out.
this is that we've established Dom, Mia, Brian on the run, a lot of authorities. somehow Dom gets his charger to Brazil.
Yeah.
Joey, I don't think
Dom
you've ever...
also gets his charger later to Japan, or before, but later.
Good point.
To
Maybe it's a
Tokyo.
different one. We don't know.
I like to imagine he's got a charger in every port.
But you're bringing up very good points, though. Like, how did this happen?
You would think that like that would maybe flag something in the system.
Well, to be fair, that is what they start looking for. Remember? He was like, Rock goes on the sat. He's like, he sees the charger, sees the thing, and goes, satellite, we got to find this charger because it sticks out like a sore thumb in Brazil. I don't think that's how they find him, but and they reverse engineered the signal that he had a signal.
Movies. These are the best.
But you're making a lot of sense, right? if I were Dominic Toretto and I was on the run from like every federal organization on the planet, I would not pick a very rare 1970s Charger that's like matte black that is so synonymous with me to be driving, because someone would be like, I know that, and there's a bounty on this guy's face. It is the Batmobile.
Like it's his Batmobile.
It's so dope.
The logistics, like you.
Well, you could technically drive from LA to Brazil, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess you
have to imagine you know someone that's got a boat, like a big boat that can cargo it over.
So, Nick, in your mind, you could potentially drive from one place to one place. Still counts as driving if it has to be on a boat.
No, what I'm saying
No,
is
it was different. It was the
there's two different thoughts.
Gotcha.
One is I'm trying to remember in geography. I'm pretty sure it's all connected. So I think you could drive
South
through
America.
Central America.
I think
all
that
way to
is the
South
Ewan
America.
McGregor thing where he drives all the way down, right?
Yes, he did a documentary about that. Although I think that was it was South
But then he
America.
did the other one where he went around and then he went down.
I'd like to think
Ewan McGregor
that
was awesome.
much like Iron Man has a bunch of suits in space being shot down from satellites, he has a bunch of Dodge Chargers in a
think that's
satellite.
Being shot in
And
It's funny you say that as if it's crazy, because in Fast 9, they did have a run-in with the International Space Station.
ISS
You're
baby.
Now, the thing about the skipping the race, I would have hated it if we didn't get the police car race later.
Oh.
But
Yes.
because we do,
I agree.
I love, like, because
Love
I
it.
remember watching this for the first time being like, and almost every time, because I forget, I'm like, that was kind of lame.
It's so weird.
Like, it's like, oh, you just cut past the good part. But then it's like, oh, no. You're playing with us. You're going to give us something even better.
That's why I like it. Of course, Tej gets a practice safe to work on. He's like, shit, we're fucked. We need to get Reyes' handprint. Han, you're up. And of course, Giselle at this point has developed a little crush on him. Her as well. So she goes, I'll tag along with you.
And
they
Vin
go,
Diesel makes it look like, oh, my family's getting along.
I think my family.
I think they're gonna bang later.
We're gonna have a couple mimosas. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Great scene here. Reyes surrounded by 11 security guards. They're getting
Well,
to know
you
each other.
skipped the montage.
Oh, the montage with them all getting in the cars
Yeah.
and then trying to drive the cars?
Well, then of them
The
doing the
drifting.
test, like the test of like, that's how we roll. Like the music's playing.
And
Oh,
they're all like,
I apologize.
Yeah.
I did. And this is when Han falls in love with
I'm
Giselle.
in love.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love you, Han. And like, just God bless everything about Han and Giselle. Like, best couple
OTP.
ever.
These two legit have
OTP.
good chemistry. They got great chemistry. Can't wait to see both of them come back in the trilogy for Fast 10.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because you know it's going to happen.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we get this sequence.
What are Giselle's superpowers?
Right now?
She's Wonder Woman?
No, like in this movie. Like, Tej is the
motorcycle?
hacker.
She's like a weapon specialist, I think.
Yeah.
I think what they
Yeah,
said, but I
yeah.
think they said she's like a weapon
Yeah.
specialist.
Because that's why
She's ex-Mossad.
That's why I really dislike you have to keep chewing on stuff because he used to be a smoker, 2 packs a day, probably. Like that seems like such a
Oh, she's not like a profiler or something.
yeah. That feels like such a like an investigative person who's
Like he works for the CIA.
who's like I bet you had a lot of daddy issues, didn't you? That's why
Right.
you reacted to this and that. It felt such like a weird thing to kind of throw in there. Like she's a pro at this.
Counterpoint, Andy. Counterpoint.
Yeah.
The
So-
reason they did that was to officially tie in Better Luck Tomorrow, Han, who was a chain smoker. So that whole line was to show he's snacking now. So every time we see him and he's snacking, it's to replace the smoking he used to do in that movie.
I would have much preferred to.
which makes
Why are
sense.
you always snacking on stuff? By the way.
Yeah.
You used to be a smoker, just something like that. I didn't need a fucking insane
It's-
worldwide detective.
It's the equivalent
Sure.
of Tej, like, oh, I had a different life. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, cool, you did. That's
Yeah.
just, you wrote that way. But
And of course, he was chain smoking every single time we saw him in Tokyo Drift.
no.
No, he was snacking.
I know that was the joke. Was he snacking in that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was snacking.
He's
in
always
Tokyo
eating
Drift.
chips.
Oh,
This is
shit.
consistent.
I was being an asshole just now.
No, yeah, in Tokyo Drift.
I'd like
he
to
was always-
apologize to you, Justin Lin.
He was always
My apologies.
And also, that's later,
My apologies.
if you remember.
It's
You're
true.
right. It is later, but We'll get there eventually.
We'll get there.
Because we're over at the beach club now. They have a plucky little scene where Han's like, "There's 11 guards. There's no way we're gonna get in to that." And little does he know, Gal Gadot is about to cement her fucking place in cinematic history. Andy, would you like to describe what comes next?
She says, "Can't send a woman to do a man's job," or backwards. Send a man to do a woman's job, and she disrobes, looking just like a goddess on earth. And she's walking, and he's like, he didn't say anything. He just kind of looks at it. He just keep munching. He looks at his bag, actually. Like, oh, I'm out of Cheetos.
Damn, I need more chips.
Yeah.
Nothing more important is happening in front of me.
And she walks over there in slow motion, and it is very, very just tantalizing and like beautiful, and like this is poetry in motion. And then when drug dealer guy looks at her and is like, "Bring her in here," she looks at Han. She's like, "Han, I'm in, dude. He's letting me in."
The most
This dumbass doesn't know. He should know because we all took our masks off at the other thing, but he fucking doesn't know. Nobody described me. Arguably the most beautiful woman on the planet. They didn't fucking tell me that I was here.
No, there's a bald guy. There's a blonde
They
dude.
know there's a bunch of bald guys.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many bald guys in this. 3 that I can count off the top of my head.
You're right.
Right? But, yeah, okay. This guy that knows, okay, it doesn't matter.
That part always makes you laugh. Looks right back at him like, let's go.
Yeah.
There's
great.
no subtlety in
No,
Fast
not
and
at all.
Furious.
Not at all.
We come back, and of course, they bring the plum bikini bottom to the technical guy, Tej, who can pull a fucking handprint off this. He had another life, Tim.
You
Don't
know.
sigh like that anymore.
You didn't watch the prequel.
And then they say, I forget what the term is, but he's like, did he caress it or did he just slap
smack
that?
it?
Yeah.
Smack that thing?
Grab
that.
it.
And they bring up this like horribly misogynistic line multiple times throughout this movie, and like it's bad. It's real bad. It's real.
It's not good.
Real
That's
bad.
stupid.
But by the end of it, I fucking love it. I love it.
Wait, what?
Like
Wait,
the
what?
last time when
Because
he
you know
asked,
why?
I'm like,
Because he ties it back to family.
it's just-
That's why.
the fact that it's about family, I'm like, I hate that this works for me because it's not good.
Mia gets the bad news that they're all burnt and Hobbs is coming. Brian refers to, he's like, oh, Hobbs, oh God, he's after us. This man's Old Testament. Blood, bullets, wrath of God. That's his style. And honestly, that's how I think of The Rock.
Yeah.
Satellite gets a hit on Dom's Charger, and they head out to make the arrest, but they just don't fucking know the power of Dominic Toretto in a tank top and light-colored Levi's jeans. They just don't get it. And they've also forgot one very fucking important piece of information here, ladies and gentlemen. Tim?
Mm-hmm.
For audio listeners, he's kind of sitting back very, very nonchalantly, but very confidently.
Does this movie take place in Italy?
No.
Does this movie take place in Paris, France?
No.
I believe so.
Does this movie take place in Barstow, California?
Definitely not.
No.
Tim, where does this movie take place?
It takes place in Brazil.
This is Brazil.
I love it.
And by the way, they got all the people around him whose cars they just stole, like one from them to back them up in this.
Yeah, that guy got super cucked. That guy's like with the gun.
Okay, you got-
That guy's with the gun. That guy's with the gun too. And he's like, Vin, I got your side, brother. I'm with you, man. Like, let's do this, Dom. Like, he is such a little fanboy.
Oh.
Like from John Wick 3, 0.
Yeah, exactly. And then who walks up to him to tell The Rock to calm down? Guy with the worst hair in
the hair
fucking
guy.
movie
I'm waiting
history.
for my tweets, everyone. Where are my tweets?
Super dark, dyed black hair.
Oh
He's
my
like,
God, Andy, Chris Hanka just tweeted at me.
you saw that?
Hold on, I'll pull it up. Oh wow, this guy does have really dark hair.
Oh yeah.
he's like-
this is
he's
like all of like the older
much
like
heat
grandpas
now.
and uncles that like just can't accept it and they go jet black like
Just go
Wayne Newton.
Gray,
There's
guys.
too-
You got to put some gray.
We got to
into
back
it.
out. Not another
Chris.
time, or what does he say? Something like that. Another time,
Get him
Hobbs.
another time. And then we get the great shot, which I love, where the car pulls off and like Tej pops up because he was.
Dude, it's so good. The
It's great.
Undertaker sit up. Like,
Yep, love it.
perfect.
Elena comes home
We,
wearing
we
Dom's.
did also somewhere in here. He's like, he beat a man half to death with the socket wrench.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, we saw that in a flashback.
We
in
did.
Fast 9.
We did. We talked about that, right? Didn't we set that up? Wasn't that his whole backstory in Fast 1?
Yeah, but like now Hobbs kind of like really like drills in that it's with a socket wrench.
Oh, socket wrench.
And how violent it was.
That's fair.
And I loved it. Like I forgot that we got the flashback in 9. I can't wait to watch 9 this weekend.
I'm gonna watch. I think I might watch a bunch this week. I'm gonna see if
I'm
he
gonna
wants to
try
watch,
and do 6, 7, 8, 9.
I kind of want to do. Yeah, I kind of want to do 6 at least, 6 and 7. We'll see what happens. I'll tell you what. Atlanta comes home wearing Dom's necklace because they're in love now, and they look at each other, and it is very thirsty. And then, man, the next scene, I cannot fucking tell you how sweaty The Rock is in this scene. This is the Brazil scene, and this actually might be the most sweaty he is because he's dripping in this scene, dripping sweat. The plan worked. Hobbs leaves with a tracker on his cool SUV. Elena gets home that night, finds Dom. Yeah, they have a great talk back and forth. Why risk it all for $20 worth of silver? Because it's worth it. Elena tells him about her husband who was murdered by Reyes, and he says, "You didn't kill those men." Or she says, "You didn't kill those men in the train, did you?" Again, gray area. We'll just say gray area.
Yeah.
I've lamented on
and
this.
even then, like this being the thing that makes Elena be like, they're good people.
Yeah.
Flimsy at best.
Ooh, very light, very light. They bond because Letty died too. They try one more time. Okay, and this is back. We go back to the course.
I would love it if Dom was like, "Did you also use detective vision?
Did
Did you find yourself a new power?"
Have you played Arkham Asylum? They try one more time, but the course is just too complex for normal cars. The only way we're going to beat the camera is with invisible cars, and I know just where to get them. And of course, they steal a bunch of cop cars, and Roman bets everyone. This scene is the epitome of why you should love, or why people love the Fast and Furious. It's a bunch of bros stealing cars and making bets that they can't back up. And I fucking love this scene. Roman says, "I'll bet everyone $100,000 the next quarter mile." And Han says, "Why not make it $1 million?" And they call it the $1 million mile. Of course, if they don't win and they don't steal the money, they're all fucking dead anyway, so it doesn't matter. And he says, Brian looks over at him and says, "Don't cheat this time." And in a very rare moment, there are two in this movie. We'll get to the other one in a bit. Vin Diesel has a great comeback that's legit, perfectly delivered. You gotta let that go as they start the race. And man, this is just a banger.
Dude, this
So
is
fun.
it, man. This is the reward for the fans. Like, Fast 5 is so special and so good because they took 4 things before it that, like, do not actually connect. And this movie made him connect. And for every one of us that was there for every midnight release, just like me, this scene right here, lining them up together. We have Vin Diesel. We have Paul Walker. We have Han. We have Roman. All together,
A meeting of the
representing
minds.
the entire franchise so far with all of its weird ups and downs.
All the Vinfinity Stones.
Straight the fuck up in police cars for a quarter-mile race. And the way they do it with Roman jumping off, sirens on, saying he's hungry. We get Han lightly drifting around. Of course, we get the back and forth between Paul Walker and Vin Diesel. Oh my God. This is perfection, man.
When we get my other favorite trope in this movie that they do every single time while driving automatic cars, we get 500 shots of them shifting gears.
You have to.
You got to.
You
got to.
It's Nick. If you ever see somebody,
Andy, I know.
If you ever see somebody in a fucking X-wing, you know goddamn well they're going to be hitting 12,000 buttons up top into
Thinking
the
turning
right.
knobs, the thing is the knobs.
Like a DJ.
Porkins
Have
is
to.
going to die in a fiery death every single
Absolutely.
time. You know it.
Sorry, I was looking at my phone for a long time because I just really was trying to get a better shot of black-haired guy.
Brian wins, but soon realizes that Dom let him go because he's going to be a father soon. Vince scoops Mia off of the streets and saves her from Reyes' men, and all is forgiven. Why
Also,
would trust
why
him?
are any of them going anywhere by themselves?
I don't know.
They're being clearly like looked for. Why she just thinks that she can go to the farmer's market by herself? Mia, you know
Come
better.
on,
You're a Toretto. You know better. than
Mamma
this.
mia.
Let's
Not
see.
about pizza, Andy.
Oh, Mamma Mia.
And he's like, I got eyes on Mia now. And it's like, okay, we don't have to say it that way. And then he goes, "You hungry? Good, because you're saying grace." And all is forgiven. Vince asks Dom if he needs a hand with the job tomorrow, and Dom says, "No, stop. You're in. There's always room for me, familia." Then the group learns that Mia's pregnant, and everyone gets super happy about it, and Dom offers a toast. Tim, would you like to say the toast?
The most important thing will always be the people in this room right here, right now.
There it is.
Salute me.
Salute me.
familia.
Salute
Come
me,
on, dude. It's
familia.
incredible. Love this moment. One of my favorite of the franchise. Like, this is the bonding of the team. This is the forming of the family in a real way. We've seen it before. The family's evolved and changed. But this is when we got the franchise together. This is when we all got to cheers with them. You know what I mean? Be part of this whole thing. I love it. Brian and Mia having a baby together, the perfect forming from Fast 1, actually having Brian join the Toretto family. Come on, dude. It's poetry.
good.
But then it's also like buttoned up really nicely with Tej asking he slapped it or grabbed it, and just like,
And then Paul Walker's
Okay.
being like,
yeah.
Both. I did
Yeah.
both.
Hell yeah, bro.
Hobbs shows up the next day and smashes Dom's Charger, which makes Dom real mad. And we get treated to two exceptionally sweaty bald men fighting. And I will say this. Look, I like The Rock and I love Vin Diesel. But man, this shit gets confusing when they're fighting. I don't know who is who.
Well, that's why The Rock put on more weight and got more jacked for that exact
Right?
reason.
This
I
is
wanted
a
to.
lot of skin walking.
Is that
bald
why
head.
Vin is in so much white in this
Yes,
movie?
that is exactly why.
The Rock
Because-
is in like all black and army fatigues.
Yeah, because they're both bald, and like when they're fighting each other, you have to have some visual difference between the two.
I wanted to point out earlier Tim mentioning how
But also
this
The Rock
was
is cool in our arm.
the furthest and most over the top it gets before being completely ridiculous. And I totally understand that, and it's sort of shown in one of the earlier fight scenes in the favela, when that initial chase scene, when The Rock isn't quite yet Thor mixed with the Hulk,
Mhm.
who is throwing people, launching them across the room, like that we see in 7 and 8 or whatever. But in this one, he just kind of like, he still, in a ridiculous way, easily just snaps a dude's neck. But, usually in most movies, there's a bit of a struggle and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And The Rock just kind of grabs his hand and like fucking like so simple.
One motion,
And it's
just-
like, yes, he's a little bit of a superhuman, but not quite the guy that's going to be knocking like just completely, we think about that one fight, that sort of comedic fight where it's you don't know me. Oh, what's his
Shaw?
name? Yeah, we see Statham and Hobbs and Shaw on the one side of the room and The Rock on the other side, and they're doing that sort of walkthrough. That's where I think we get the most cartoonish of the superhero Rock. But in this one, it's almost there. He breaks a dude's neck with just a quick little motion.
It's perfect.
Really impressive.
Of course, this fight finishes with Dom almost wrenching The Rock in the face, but Mia screams at him and he stops short of killing him. The team gets arrested and then ambushed later on their way to the airport. At this point, The Rock is just saturated. I'm not even gonna say anything else.
saturated.
He's just saturated, and you gotta imagine this like a smell factor happening because he's been in this Under Armour for like 4 days straight.
I will say that I will give the writers credit for not having Mia scream out like, "We need Uncle Dom" or some like real bullshit in that
Yeah.
moment to pull him out of it. And thank you for your restraint.
There you go. Elena, of course, has to make a game time decision. Does she let the whole team die? Does she let The Rock die out there in a fiery death? Or does she cut the team loose and let them fucking go? Let them play. Surrounded, all hope is lost until the team fires back. Dom walks up very slow, very hero-like, and offers his hand to his once
It's the best
enemy.
moment ever.
Giving
And The Rock accepts
Dom
it.
a shotgun is also perfect. Like I feel like they've assigned weapons really well in this fight.
Yeah.
Of course he's gonna have a shotgun.
Well, that's also just been his weapon for the rest of the movies as
Yeah.
well. Like we always talk about like for the rest of the movies, Rock always has the gigantic deagle, that gigantic fucking pistol.
That 5-point, that 50
It's like
caliber.
4
50
feet long.
millimeter. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
the minigun.
Yeah.
Sadly, Vince took one to the chest, and he tells Dom to keep eyes on Nico, his son. And this is a great bit of acting by Vin Diesel. I talk a lot of trash about him, but he cries here, and it's a very good scene, and it's sad.
That's good. I would have loved, like, I can imagine the making of this and being like, Vince, we're gonna have to kill you off in this one, but don't worry, like this was probably the last one we're making.
Yeah, this is it. This is
There
our
won't be
swan
7
song.
more.
Meanwhile, Vince is fucking like waiting by the phone. Still, God damn it.
Vince is like, I'm just happy to be involved, to be back.
Everyone tries to talk Dom out of doing the job, and Dom turns back on him and says, "Running ain't freedom. You know that." And then, for a voiceover in the far distance of the corner says, "I'm in." And the camera cuts. Hobbs just been there the whole time.
In the whole time.
And then you have to imagine
Well, they
there's
kind
an
of had him
under.
under their care.
Yeah.
Like, he was fucked
He
up.
and Elena, they had nothing. They had nowhere to go back. No one to go back to. They have no family.
No familia.
Now they
now
do,
they're
though.
invited to
Yeah.
the barbecue.
Now they do though.
It says, "All right with you, Toretto, at least until we kill that son of a bitch. What's the plan? We can't go sneaking around anymore." Well, the plan is, ladies and gentlemen,
ain't
we're going to
sneaking.
pull a full-on, full frontal assault of the police station and straight bust through the wall using Hobbs's dope SUV. Dom and Brian hook the vault up in their muscle cars, and off we go. And this is arguably the most ridiculous, most stupid, most fun scene that we've had in a Fast and Furious movie up until this point. There's lots of highlights, not the least of which is destroying an entire bank with the vault. We get a moment, a little sleight of hand here, of course. where they're like, you got a 10-second window. We got to figure out what's going on, yada, yada, yada. We just think
I
there's
do love that the 10-second he needs
Just
a
keeps coming
10-second
back.
car.
10-second
They got
car.
10 seconds.
10-second
They
window.
were built for this moment.
I love all of Paul Walker's reactions in this. Some of the best genuine work that he's done in the movie. Dom decides.
I feel, it kind of reminded me of like, how do we get Paul Walker? Like, let's just scare him as he's driving. Like,
Yeah.
as he's driving, let's like show him like a crazy TikTok and be like, oh shit, what the fuck? You know?
It's awesome. Dom, of course, as they're driving away, sees that all the police and Reyes' men are behind him and decides to sacrifice himself. To which Paul Walker says, "You got to stick with the plan." He goes, "It was always the plan." I'm like, "Was it? Was it always the plan, or did you just say that right now?" I digress. He loosens the car up and goes and turns back around and just starts using this thing like a goddamn mace to kill all of Reyes' cars and all the crooked cop cars and all that jazz. And then he throws, I think, the safe or a car at another car that kills Reyes. But then
It definitely puts the cars in a very precarious position because it's either they run into him or he's going to whip that safe on you. And I just love all of the sequence. Like we see that one car get like decapitated. It's like, that's a dude's head is flying somewhere out there. Like this is pure violence, but it's a lot of fucking fun.
a lot of fucking.
I mean, it's perfect, right? Like, I think this sequence, like earlier you were talking about, like you try to think back to the past movies and like identify what was where, what movie had what sequence or whatever. And like people like me who are obsessed, I can remember the differences. But for Nick to be like, Fast 5.
Yeah.
That's the safe chase.
That's the safe
You
chase.
know, it will forever live on as like one of the finest moments in action cinema.
Of course, let's see. Reyes' right-hand man comes out of the car and takes 2 to the chest. And it's Paul Walker. Never leave a man behind, of course. Paul Walker never leaves his friend. And
I wish that reveal wasn't shown immediately.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd. Like it's the typical hero coming in the last second to kill the dude that was about to kill the other hero, and like you see 2 gunshots, and they immediately show Paul Walker's face, and then it shows Paul Walker walking from behind Vin Diesel. It's like, well, we already know. Like, I wish it was just shot, and Vin Diesel being like, "Oh fuck, who was that?" Turn around. Guess what? Family never leaves family behind.
Yeah.
It was just so weird to be like, I'm still here. It's so awkward. It was weird.
Not as awkward as the next line where he goes, "I thought I told you to go on." And Paul Walker goes, "Yeah, I had to make a call." And you're like, oh, that's a callback from that earlier line that didn't hit either.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of weird.
Good point.
But whatever. Hobbs and Elena pull up, and Reyes falls out of his car.
Was it a shitty call or not?
Yeah.
You know, something like that.
Like shitty? I don't know. Hobbs walks by and puts 2 in his chest and says, "That's for my team." Love that. And then, he
The lack of emotion, just like as he's walking, is so good.
then he gives
Apparently,
Brian,
like the coroner said that the bullet was so gigantic, like all the man's torso is just gone. Like the bullet in that gigantic gun is just massive.
they're like, there's either two choices here. Somebody shot him with a hand cannon, or the man was born without a chest. We don't
And
really
you know,
know.
it's funny because, Joey, you say lack of emotion to the chest. I love it because it is shot and portrayed with a lack of emotion. But those shots have so
Oh
much
yeah,
They got impact.
I love it.
Because it's like, it's
Emotionally.
built up like, yeah, we're watching a movie with action set pieces and one-liners and dumb, beefy, sweaty men. But it allows these moments to hit so hard. Like when he shoots him not once but twice,
Yeah, you know it means
that is man love right there. You know?
Of course, these guys are friends forever now. And Dom, The Rock gives Dom and Brian 24 hours of a head start. And then as they're walking away, he says, "Toretto, I'll see you soon." And Vin's like, "No, you won't."
No, you won't.
And you're like, "No, I think he's going to actually come after you."
I promised Vince this would be the last movie.
Hobbs knows something is fishy, of course. He checks the vault as the guys drive away. And sure enough, it is covered in plastic, just like my mother-in-law's iPhone. They switched it out.
the reveal of this is so good.
Dude, like to this day, I don't think I have ever been in a theater and had a moment where my life was just shaken like Saw 1. All right? And like, I don't want to spoil things, but like there's a moment towards the end of Saw 1.
I mean, we're spoiling shit on this podcast.
No, we're not. We're not. Where something happens and then they do this whole breakdown reveal of how it all went down. Fast 5 does that. And it's so
I mean,
infinitely
every heist movie has to
satisfying.
do that.
The
They
Ocean
have to.
11's one is so
Yeah.
good.
They have to do it, but like this one is so good because it's so stupid. And like to take a set piece this great of the safe following them and all this stuff, like I won't believe a single soul that saw this coming.
No,
Despite
absolutely not.
how set up it was. And I think that is a success.
It is.
Right?
It's fun.
Him having
It's
the
a
fake
fun-
safe, they showed us that. They told us that. But we didn't think it.
Yeah.
It's a fun switcheroo for sure. Of course, everyone, boom, Tej is like, be nice to me. And he uses the handprint, opens the vault, and boom, everyone gets $10 million, including Vince's wife, who comes home out of the blue to our house in an extremely dangerous part of Brazil to find a, not even hidden, a bag
Presented.
of overflowing cash for anyone to walk by and see. And she's like, oh, this is great. Now, again, with a note that says, hey, I'll check on Nico later. I'm like, or you could move me out of this dangerous neighborhood
What I was
and then give me the $10 million.
What I was hoping for is like, you know, like at the end of movies, you always see like it'll like freeze frame and it'll say like
Oh,
so and
I
so
love
went
those.
on to whatever.
Yeah.
I was really like it's
Rosa.
like it fucking freeze frames and it's like Rosa and Dominique or Nico. The bills were marked and they both go in life in prison.
Wow. Boy, didn't see that come.
So
All right.
dark.
Little babies like
Yeah,
in
send
prison.
Asset something if you could bring it up on the wall. If not, just let me know and we won't do that. But if so, please just play that on the wall while we go through the rest of the plot.
Also, the underrated part of this part is that we start getting the beginning of Danza Kuduro.
yes.
With just the I don't know what instrument that is, but it just starts building.
There you go. Everyone gets their dream, despite still being hunted by the FBI. Tej opens up a shop, which I don't know where, and then he buys the same car as Roman. Han and Giselle have some sexy time together and hint at going to
The
Tokyo
sexiest time.
eventually.
This might be one of my favorite scenes
So
ever.
hot.
Like, it is so ridiculously hot of Giselle sitting on Han's lap as they drive, and she's just like, where are we going? Tokyo? He's like, nah, not yet. We'll get there eventually.
there
And
eventually.
it's like, yeah, we fucking will. We know because we're
And
fans.
it's heartbreaking.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, it's so I love this. So jumping between all of the different characters and letting them shine is so good because like the Han thing, I thought it couldn't get better. Han and Giselle, how do you beat this? And then what happens, Nick?
Wait, I got lost in what we were talking. Oh,
Tej,
Ryan,
Roman.
Tej and Roman, of course, they've got the two cars. We have Roman's like, there's only car, one of this in the Western Hemisphere. And he goes, well, I guess there's two now. They're going to ride off.
What are we
The-
looking at behind us?
It's a beach. This is
the
our
beach scene.
Danse Kuduro scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Brian
like
and Mia.
the bravado of Tyrese and then Ludacris just coming in chill as fuck, being like,
So good.
oh no, there's two.
Brian and Mia hang out on the
Anything.
beach. Dom comes home with Elena and is just an incredibly all white outfit again, and it's just so unbelievably unflattering. Brian spots their two cars parked outside and says, "You know, I want another shot. No wagers, no other people, just you and me once and for all." And Dom says, "All right, O'Connor, let's see what you've got."
Let's see. You've got.
And that,
That's how we roll.
And I love
That's
how
how
like
we
that,
roll.
we roll like this.
that's supposed to be fucking Rocky and Apollo punching each other.
Yep.
You know? Like-
Yep.
ding, ding,
ding,
boom.
ding. Everybody. But
then-
before we get to the post credits, just one
Sure.
more time for posterity, everybody.
I remember everything about my father.
So
It
stupid.
doesn't get better.
We get to the mid-credit sequence, which is at the DSS headquarters in Washington. Ava Mendes coming back. And you're like, oh, good. She's going to be a mainstay in the series from going forward. Makes a cameo. Why didn't we bring her back sooner? I don't know. Hobbs gets a report on another squad of car thieves. And he's like, Toretto? She goes, no, you're not going to believe this. And flips open a dossier. And who do we see? A picture of a ghost. A picture of Letty. You believe in ghosts?
What a great line. I love
Holy
it.
shit.
I just cannot like I time travel to the first time seeing this sequence, and being in my little shitty computers would be like, oh my fucking god, I can't believe this is happening. This is so ridiculous, and I can't fucking wait for the next movie.
Dude, the way that this movie was a success all to itself, one of the greatest action movies of all fucking time. Getting 4 movies that should not have made sense in sequential order or any order makes sense and be enhanced. To then get a post-credit sequence and we're like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
Eva Mendes, back from Too Fast, Too Furious. All right?
About 8 years prior, whatever it was.
With The Rock to bring back Letty from the dead. And then it's like, oh, cool. Eva Mendes and The Rock, I guess they're both somehow
buds.
related. No, never comes back. The funny thing is, she was supposed to. The reason Fast 8 took place in New York was for Eva Mendes. She was like, I'm signed on. We're going to do this. It's going to be great. We'll tie me into the whole story. Scheduling conflicts. Wasn't in the movie. So it's like,
What scheduling conflicts could you possibly have more than being in the biggest,
how
highest grossing
desperate
movie
could
of
you
that
be?
time?
You know?
That's weird.
How much of a housewife could you be?
She's married to Ryan Gosling though. Like, I get
Oh, was
it.
she really?
Yeah,
Yeah. They have a
Is
kid.
she
They have
really
a couple
now?
kids together. Oh, yeah.
Are you for?
Really?
Met as Ryan
100%.
Gosling, yeah.
I didn't know that.
I feel like I must have known that, but like, I'm still mind blown.
Yeah, they're literally the best looking.
She's so
couple
good in
on
the other
planet.
guys
I mean, they're good in everything.
with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg.
Great. You have to know you're doing this. Hey,
Barrett, can you bring
better
up the rankings?
Great.
Currently, number 1, Fast 6. Number 2, Fast 5. Number 3, 7. 4, Hobbs and Shaw. 5, Fast 8. 6, Fast 9. 7, 4. 8, Tokyo Drift. 9, number 1. And 10, number 2. Too Fast, Too Furious. Do you have problems with it? Are you majorly upset with this ranking?
I think Tokyo Drift is like the fact that 4 is above Tokyo Drift. I think is like really upsetting.
When your main character is arguably one of the worst actors
That's the worst part of
Hollywood
that
has ever
movie.
seen, and it'd be fine if he was a little side minor character, but he's the main guy.
Okay, but
He's
what else is
awful.
what's memorable in Fast 4?
Other than the Batman
The
detective.
character dynamics. I'm with Nick. The Fast 4
I-
gets a bad rap.
I think Fast Forward gets a bad rap. Yeah, like the best thing about Tokyo Drift is a side character named Han.
Yeah.
And Bow Wow.
Everything except for the main character, I would.
I really like DK too.
It's just like the main character can't be that. Is
Yeah,
my
no,
problem.
you're right. You're not wrong.
I
You're
mean-
not wrong.
So you're saying that the main character of a Fast and Furious movie is kind of a terrible actor, and you think that that's an outlier or par for the course for this series?
I don't like when he does it.
You know what's important though about this though, like real talk, like Vin Diesel and Dominic Toretto, his character, and I think the reason that we don't love the more recent Fast movies as compared to the trilogy we talk about of Fast 5, 6, 7 is that Vin Diesel is not on camera with any of the family, like throughout the movie.
No,
when you look at Fast
one
8,
point he's like a
he's
mercenary.
evil
that's
in
like,
8,
yeah.
and like there's fun there for sure, like
Yeah.
a lot of fun. But like Fast 9, like he's with Helen Mirren more than he's with anyone in the family. And
Yeah.
from everything we're seeing in the trailer for 10, that seems to be the case again.
He's
Like,
like,
I
no,
think-
we're doing rewrites. I want to be with Helen Mirren most of it.
They're like, but,
It feels that way.
but she's only in one scene. He's like, rewrite that scene for the whole movie. Fucking idiot.
But yeah, like while this isn't my list exactly, I like this list.
I don't think
overall
this
it's
is-
a pretty good
I
one.
also think
far
Hobbs and Shaw is like real high.
Hobbs and Shaw is some of the best set pieces, not the best movie.
Yeah.
I will admit. But it's above the rest of them.
I don't remember.
I have to
Hot
go
Shot.
back and watch 8 and 9 for sure this weekend because those I remember really, really not liking 8. So I have to go back and I know that because of 9, I probably feel differently about all of that.
I love
As
it.
much as shit as you give Vin Diesel for not being great,
Mhm.
the movie that he's in not at all is the last movie on this list. So there is a je ne sais quoi magic about not having.
No,
or
it's just
of
that
him.
Too Fast and Furious is so fucking bad that it can't not be on the end of the list. But you're right.
But
I mean,
think
again,
about-
I think that we talked about it. The strength of the series, for me at least, was that dynamic between Dom and
Brian.
Paul and Brian. And again, did they steal that exactly from the greatest action movie of all time, the 1990s Point Break? Yeah, they did.
Which I still haven't seen. We have to change that, Nick.
Fuck me.
Damn.
You're gonna love it, dude.
I know.
There's no way you don't love this
I'm
movie.
sure
Yeah.
I will. Let us know in the comments below what you think of Fast 5, what you think of our ranking so far, what you think of Point Break, what theories you have for Fast 10, 1, 2, and 3. Whatever it is you want to talk to us about Fast and Furious, we will be sure to listen because we love this franchise. I'm going to say it, put it on the map. Without us, I don't know that they would have made a single
agree.
dollar.
We definitely
Here we
helped.
are.
We definitely
you know?
helped it.
Yeah. Join the family, everybody. Next week, Fast 10 in review is happening. I cannot
Wow.
wait
Tim, we
to
just,
see this.
Tim, we had a redemption today with Nick, and next week we're gonna have a Charlize Theron hair redemption.
What a time for this franchise. This fabled
Wow.
franchise. FF, everybody. Until next time, welcome to the family.
Fasten your seatbelt.